Chapter 3277. The Chaotic Green Lotus was one of the 10 Chaos Ultimate Treasures. With the Chaotic Green Lotus sealing the area, Buoxuan Wushuang was trapped within, unable to escape. As for the Lotus Emperor, Zhao Ritian and Darkness Lingxiao, they were all extremely powerful. If they were to fight Buoxuan Wushuang alone, Buoxuan Wushuang might not be afraid. However, when the three of them attacked together, even Buoxuan Wushuang would not be able to withstand it. This is the Chaos Ultimate Treasure, the Chaotic Green Lotus. Who are you? You are not qualified to kill me. Buoxuan Wushuang roared, his eyes filled with murderous intent. As a Calamity Lord, he could use the power of the Heavenly Way. With 3,000 great Tao origins in his body, he was extremely powerful. Darkness Lingxiao and Zhao Ritian could not do anything to him previously. However, when the Chaotic Green Lotus appeared, it isolated all the power of the Heavenly Way, causing Buoxuan Wushuang to lose more than half of his strength. He was instantly suppressed by the Lotus Emperor, Darkness Lingxiao, and Zhao Ritian. He tried his best to break out of the seal of the Chaotic Green Lotus, but he realized that the Chaotic Green Lotus in the hands of the Lotus Emperor was releasing an extremely powerful divine aura. Buoxuan Wushuang could not escape at all. I am the Lotus Emperor. The Lotus Emperor said plainly. Bright green lotuses appeared in his palm. They were wholly mysterious and ethereal. They flew across the sky and enveloped Buoxuan Wushuang completely. Dark Lingxiao and Zhao Ritian were seething with murderous intent as they launched their powerful attacks at Buoxuan Wushuang. In the end, Buoxuan Wushuang was dead. He died in an extremely aggrieved, unwilling, angry, and unbelievable manner. He was a Calamity Lord who controlled the life and death of countless calamities. With the support of the Heavenly Way, he was extremely powerful. Yet he died here. Boom. Buoxuan Wushuang's primordial spirit shattered. The origin Tao fruits were mysterious and unfathomable, as if they were about to dissipate along with Buoxuan Wushuang's indestructible primordial spirit. However, the Chaos Lotus sprinkled down wisps of azure light, trapping the origin Tao fruit like divine chains of order. Under the suppression of the Chaotic Green Lotus, all the origin Tao fruits quietened down. A total of 3,000 origin Tao fruits. Buoxuan Wushuang, he actually gathered 3,000 origin Tao fruits? TSK, if he hadn't become a lackey of the Heavenly Tao, I'm afraid he really might have stepped onto the path of 10,000 Taos as one. Zhao Ritian clicked his tongue in admiration. The moment he became a robber, his future was cut off. Even if he has 3,000 great Taos, he can't walk the path of 10,000 great Taos. Even if he doesn't die in our hands, he will die in the hands of the Heavenly Tao in the end. Darkness Lingxiao's eyes were sharp as he said slowly, "That's right." The moment they became robbers, they had already lost their sense of self. If they didn't even have a sense of self, how could they attain the Tao? Please give these 3,000 origin Tao fruits to Lingxiao. I'm looking forward to his success on the path of merging all Tao into one. The Azure Emperor smiled faintly. Then he waved his sleeve and the 3,000 origin Tao fruits were enveloped by a green lotus. They flew before Darkness Lingxiao and Zhao Ritian. Qing Emperor, who exactly are you? Zhao Ritian looked at the Lotus Emperor with a complicated expression. The Lotus Emperor before him was extremely powerful. Moreover, he had the chaotic absolute treasure, the Chaotic Green Lotus. Zhao Ritian had a feeling that he could not see through him. He did not expect the Lotus Emperor to help Lingxiao. After all, although they were both from the God of War realm, they did not have much of a relationship. I'm the Lotus Emperor. I'll take my leave now. The Lotus Emperor smiled faintly at Zhao Ritian and Darkness Lingxiao. Then he turned around and left. He was still sitting cross-legged on the Chaotic Green Lotus. The Chaotic Green Lotus pierced through the void and scattered rays of strange light. Then he disappeared in front of them. The Lotus Emperor came quickly and left quickly. Zhao Ritian felt like he was in a dream. I wonder if the Lotus Emperor is a friend or foe. However, I can vaguely feel that his strength is far greater than mine. Darkness Lingxiao said slowly. There seemed to be flames burning in his eyes. Far greater than yours? That's impossible. Zhao Ritian found it hard to believe. After all, Darkness Lingxiao had the bloodline of the chaotic demon tribe. Now he had even killed the most monstrous sky pride of the demon tribe, Wuxia Wushuang. His strength was unfathomable. Even Zhao Ritian did not dare to say that he could defeat him. The Lotus Emperor was indeed unfathomable. However, based on the combat strength that he had displayed earlier, he was only on par with Zhao Ritian and Darkness Lingxiao. I have a feeling that we might have to fight him in the end, Darkness Lingxiao said with a burning gaze. The Lotus Emperor's intention was unfathomable. However, in Darkness Lingxiao's opinion, it seemed that the Lotus Emperor had helped him because he was not strong enough. He wanted to help Darkness Lingxiao increase his cultivation level. They returned with the 3,000 origin Dao fruits. With these 3,000 origin Dao fruits, Darkness Lingxiao's cultivation level might increase to an unimaginable level. Yin Yang Abyss. Darkness had been completely refined by Darkness Lingxiao. After experiencing a few eras, Netherworld had condensed the Dao spirit of the body, the quintessence Dao spirit, and the nascent soul Dao spirit. His body was flawless and filled with vast quintessence energy, and it was comparable to the best supreme medicinal pills. The three great Dao spirits merged into Darkness Lingxiao's body, and began to nourish his physical body, origin energy, an indestructible primordial spirit. His foundation became stronger and stronger, especially after Zhao Ritian brought back 3,000 origin Dao fruits. Together with the few hundred origin Dao fruits from the three robbers, this was Darkness Lingxiao's greatest gain. These 3,000 origin Dao fruits should be bestowed by the Heavenly Way. Although they look flawless, they contain the power of the Heavenly Way. The power of the Heavenly Way is useless to me. The great Dao origin within them is the foundation. Darkness Lingxiao thought to himself. He was filled with anticipation. Lingxiao walked the path of 10,000 Daos as one. Refining the 3,000 origin Dao fruits was only the first step. Next, he needed to comprehend the 3,000 great Dao origins, and finally combine them into one to create his own origin Dao. Only then could it be considered the path of 10,000 Daos as one. Since ancient times, there was no lack of people who had refined 3,000 Dao fruits of origin. Although this first step was difficult, it was not impossible. However, if one wanted to comprehend 3,000 Dao fruits of origin at the same time, it was incomparably difficult. Not to mention combining all 3,000 great Dao origins, and creating one's own origin Dao. Even the most talented sky prides had failed at this step. Therefore, the path of 10,000 Daos as one was also called a dead end. Moreover, there would be all kinds of unpredictable dangers. The most terrifying thing was that one would be abandoned by the Heavenly Way. If one was abandoned by the Heavenly Way, they would no longer be able to borrow the power of the Heavenly Way. Their hopes of Dao unification would be severed, and they would never be able to prove their Dao and become an emperor. This was unacceptable to anyone. Therefore, since ancient times, very few people would walk the path of 10,000 Daos as one except for those extremely crazy sky prides. The path of 10,000 Daos as one begins. Darkness Lingxiao said calmly. There was a trace of determination and madness in his eyes. Rumble. The 3,000 origin Dao fruits instantly merged into Lingxiao's body with the majestic devouring power of the devouring sacred boundary. They were enveloped by the vast and majestic indestructible primordial spirit. Lingxiao's indestructible primordial spirit was dazzling with golden light. Blazing light rose clear and dazzling. It exuded a vast pressure. It looked like a supreme emperor sitting cross-legged in the chaos. Around him, the 3,000 origin Dao fruits rose. They were like dazzling stars, blooming with dazzling light. Lingxiao could be said to be very familiar with refining origin Dao fruits. He was extremely fast. The 3,000 origin Dao fruits were all of perfect quality, and contained complete great Dao origin power. They were quickly refined by Lingxiao. Boom! Lingxiao felt as if a vast heavenly might was about to descend. The Heavenly Way seemed to reject him. The 3,000 great Dao origins intertwined around him like divine chains of order, constantly tempering his physical body. Behind him, a second Dao spirit was about to condense. Origin Dao spirit. Lingxiao had merged with the 3,000 origin Dao fruits. The 3,000 great Dao origins in his body were complete and flawless. Condensing an origin Dao spirit was a natural thing. Rumble. The origin Tao spirit behind Lingxiao became more and more solid. Chaotic light rose around it. Divine chains of order traversed the void like heavenly pillars. Its aura was incomparably terrifying, especially the face of the origin Tao spirit. It looked exactly the same as Lingxiao, but the origin Tao spirit had 1,000 hands and 1,000 faces. There were lotus flowers floating around it, and the divine sound of the great Tao resounded through the void. It looked extremely dignified and noble. Crack. The moment the origin Tao spirit was completely condensed, thunder seemed to explode in the endless void. Vast heavenly might spread, wrapped in bolts of black lightning. It contained the power to destroy everything and wanted to blast Lingxiao to smithereens. That was the apocalyptic divine punishment. The heavenly Tao was completely enraged. However, in this void, even if the apocalyptic divine punishment was about to descend, its power was very limited. More than half of it was obliterated by the void. Before the rest could hit Lingxiao's origin Tao spirit, Lingxiao let out a long roar and swallowed it all. Apocalyptic divine punishment? Has Lingxiao really embarked on the path of 10,000 great Taoists as one? Taoist Wu Yang's eyes revealed a trace of incomparable shock, and said with some concern, "This is really not a good opportunity. Now that he has embarked on the path of 10,000 great Taoists as one, the opportunity to become an emperor is about to be born. Lingxiao has been abandoned by the heavenly Tao. I'm afraid it will be very difficult for him to obtain the opportunity to become an emperor." The old goat also sighed softly. So what if he obtained the opportunity to become an emperor? Since ancient times, countless great emperor experts have relied on their own amazing talent to prove their Tao. After all, those who were bestowed by the heavenly Tao are in the minority. I heard that back then, the Sky Emperor did not rely on the opportunity bestowed by the heavenly Tao to become an emperor. Instead, he used great wisdom and perseverance to force a breakthrough. I believe that Lingxiao can do it too. Although no one has succeeded in the path of 10,000 great Taoists as one since ancient times, it doesn't mean that Lingxiao can't succeed. Yu Liangchen said with a proud smile. Divine light shone in his eyes, and he was full of anticipation. That's right. I also believe that bastard Lingxiao will definitely be able to prove his Tao. The white dragon horse spat out a blade of grass in its mouth, and was also full of confidence. Rumble. Although the vast heavenly might was powerful and made the old goat and the others' hearts palpitate, it slowly dissipated in the end. On the other hand, Lingxiao's body bloomed with a blazing and dazzling light, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. With 3,000 great Tao origins in his body, the pressure on Lingxiao's body was incomparably vast and unfathomable. Vaguely, it made everyone feel as if the heavens were devouring them. It was as if the heavenly might had descended. The current Lingxiao was like the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. Lingxiao slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was deep and bright. His vitality surged and his life force surged. His body exuded an immortal luster. He looked translucent and translucent, as if he was constantly inhaling and exhaling chaotic energy. If one took a closer look, one would realize that there were mysterious crystal divine kingdoms in Lingxiao's body. The chaotic qi was split open and yin and yang were divided. The life origin poured in as if some strange living being was about to be born. Lingxiao's body seemed to have turned into a great universe. The 3,000 great Tao origins were like the order of the heavenly Tao, maintaining the operation of this great universe. Vaguely, Lingxiao's entire person became ethereal and mysterious, giving people a feeling that he was unfathomable. If I want to kill Yuming now, I only need one punch. Lingxiao thought to himself. The light in his eyes was as bright as a sword and his body was filled with endless power. Although Buoxuan Wushuang is a tribulation lord and has gathered 3,000 origin Tao fruits, he is only a puppet of the heavenly Tao. He can't borrow much of the origin's power. Now these 3,000 origin Tao fruits have become seeds. In time, they will definitely grow into a towering tree. Perhaps I can also become the heavenly Tao? Lingxiao's heart was filled with a faint trace of anticipation. 10,000 Taoists as one. Origin Tao, this is my path. Lofty aspirations rose in Lingxiao's heart. Rumble. He slowly stood up. Thunder seemed to explode around him, and the world shook. Endless chaotic qi merged into Ling Xiao's body like a whale swallowing the sea. Ling Xiao stood there. He didn't look very tall, but in the eyes of the crowd, he was like an unreachable ancient divine mountain. He was majestic, mysterious, and extremely powerful. No one knew how strong Ling Xiao was now. However, the old goat and Taoist Wuliang both knew that if Ling Xiao attacked now, he would probably have the power to destroy the heavens. Ling Xiao's current battle strength is probably not weaker than Sakra, the ninth prince of the immortal race, and Tathagata? Taoist Wuliang said with emotion. It's not just not weaker. Ling Xiao was able to kill Yu Ming previously. Now Ling Xiao will have no problem killing Sakra, the ninth prince, and Tathagata. The old goat was full of confidence in Ling Xiao. Doesn't that mean Ling Xiao already has the battle strength of a supreme emperor? Yap Liangchen, the white dragon horse, and Kuan Peng looked at each other and were secretly shocked. Sakra was said to have the battle strength of a supreme emperor. If Ling Xiao could kill Sakra, Ling Xiao would be able to kill an emperor. Ling Xiao had not become an emperor, but he could kill an emperor. This was something that only the most talented geniuses in history could do, defying the heavens and slaying an emperor. The old goat and the others were so excited that they couldn't control themselves. To hell with being abandoned by the heavenly Tao. So what if I'm abandoned by the heavenly Tao and can't become an emperor? What can Ling Xiao's future be decided by the heavenly Tao? The old goat laughed proudly. His tone became extremely arrogant, as if he didn't care about the heavenly Tao at all. Chapter 3278. Ling Xiao killed Nether Ming? Interesting. An indifferent and ethereal voice resounded. In the realm of nothingness, a mysterious and imposing figure sat high in the endless void on a huge throne, exuding an invincible aura. Over 100 powerful figures knelt before him, their eyes filled with reverence and fanatical worship. Among them, there was no lack of prodigies on the Tao proclamation list. Almost all of them were ninth heaven imperial emperors. However, that imposing figure was like their king, and they were willing to follow him. Sakra, the peerless prodigy who ranked first on the Tao proclamation list, known as the Nine Extinction King, was a supreme figure who had reached the peak of 9 eras. Imperial Lord Ling Xiao's strength is unfathomable. Nether Ming was a powerful array emperor, but he died at Ling Xiao's hands. We must be on guard. A prodigy on the Tao proclamation list knelt on one knee and reported, "Array Emperor?" He merely glimpsed a trace of the array's profundity. How can he be considered an array emperor? The 36 nether god corpses he refined were just trash. Sakra said faintly, and then stood up from the huge throne. Boom. His entire body was dazzling like a divine golden glass. He was immortal and mysterious, exuding a vast and majestic aura. Ling Xiao's strength is indeed not weak. However, since he has embarked on the path of 10,000 Daos as one, the opportunity to become an emperor no longer has anything to do with him. However, we must be on guard against that bald donkey, Tathagata. Sakra said indifferently. Imperial Lord, Tathagata has reached the end of the realm of nothingness, and is waiting for the opportunity to become an emperor. There are no less than 1,000 followers under his command. A follower reported, "It's just a set of Buddhist methods to mislead people. Since that's the case, we can set off. I'd like to see what Tathagata is capable of." Sakra said indifferently. Boom. He took a step forward, and the void seemed to shatter instantly. His body seemed to pierce through everything as he traveled hundreds of millions of miles in an instant toward the end of the realm of nothingness. Many followers released powerful auras and leaped forward to follow him. He killed Nether Ming and embarked on the path of 10,000 Daos as one? This Ling Xiao is really special. Hong Tian, the ninth prince of the celestial tribe, sat cross-legged on the celestial emperor chariot. He was surrounded by celestial light and auspicious qi, looking ethereal and mysterious. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Although he did not doubt Ling Xiao's great potential and combat strength, he did not expect Ling Xiao to walk the path of 10,000 Daos as one. Ever since Ling Xiao walked the Eternal Emperor Road, he's killed quite a few bandits. Even the bandit lord, Buxiu and Wushuang, died. Ling Xiao had fused with countless origin Dao fruits. He wanted to imitate his predecessors and merge all Daos into one. However, the opportunity to become a martial monarch was about to arrive. At this moment, Ling Xiao had become the one who had been forsaken by the heavens. Thus, the opportunity to become a martial monarch had nothing to do with him anymore. I really don't know if he's stupid or arrogant. A figure with a powerful aura said slowly. Arrogance or stupidity, it has nothing to do with us. Perhaps Ling Xiao can test the true strength of Sakura and Rulai? A follower said. The opportunity to become an emperor is born at the end of the realm of nothingness. Perhaps the secret to transcending lies there as well. The secret to transcending is what His Highness must obtain. I believe Sakura and Rulai will not miss this opportunity. The secret to transcending? That's just an ancient legend. It's hard to say if transcendence even exists. That's not entirely true. Isn't the Forbidden Saber a martial technique for transcendence? The ninth prince's expression was calm as he listened to the discussions of his followers. However, there was a strange light in his eyes. Perhaps the secret to transcending is really related to the Forbidden Saber? The ninth prince murmured to himself in an inaudible voice. Immortal light shone from his palm, and there seemed to be a dazzling saber light flashing through. Forsaken by the heavens? Ling Xiao raised his head and looked into the endless void. He could sense that he had been isolated from the heavenly Tao. He could no longer summon the slightest bit of the heavenly Tao's power. Even the heavenly Tao pearl in his primordial spirit's sea of consciousness had disappeared without a trace. After refining 3,000 origin Tao fruits and embarking on the path of 10,000 Tao as one, Ling Xiao had been completely rejected by the heavenly Tao. He had become a forsaken by the heavens. From then on, Ling Xiao could no longer borrow the slightest bit of the heavenly Tao's power, nor could he receive any protection from the heavenly Tao. He would even be rejected by the heavenly Tao's fortune. He could only rely on his own strength. Ling Xiao could even sense that he would no longer be able to comprehend any origin of the great Tao from the heavenly Tao. Being abandoned by the heavenly Tao would bring about all kinds of calamities. It might not be much in the realm of nothingness, but once he left the realm of nothingness and returned to the various worlds, that was the beginning of the great calamity. The great calamity of an epoch is coming. This is an immeasurable calamity. When the time comes, the heavenly Tao will be unable to protect itself. Why would it abandon me? Besides, is the heavenly Tao still the same as before? Ling Xiao thought to himself. A mocking smile tugged at the corner of his lips. He wasn't worried at all. Even after becoming a forsaken by the heavens, Ling Xiao was still extremely calm. He could sense that his strength had skyrocketed and was filled with endless power. The 3,000 origin Tao fruits were the seeds of the 3,000 great Taos. They had taken root in Ling Xiao's primordial spirit and were nurtured by his indestructible primordial spirit. They continued to grow stronger, and Ling Xiao gradually comprehended the mysteries of the 3,000 origin of the great Tao. This was the second step. Comprehending the 3,000 origin of the great Tao meant that the 3,000 great Taos would be added to one's body and become one. The third step was to create one's own origin Tao. For others, it would be extremely difficult to comprehend the 3,000 origin of the great Tao after becoming a forsaken by the heavens. They would need great willpower, great wisdom, and endless time before they could succeed. However, Ling Xiao had the creation jade disc. The creation jade disc was connected to the origin of the great Tao and could nurture the 3,000 origin Tao fruits, allowing Ling Xiao to constantly be in a state of enlightenment. Ling Xiao believed that it wouldn't be long before he could complete the second step. Perhaps it would be even faster than the first step. Behind Ling Xiao, the Tao spirit of his physical body and origin Tao spirit were complete. His indestructible primordial spirit and spirit were also clear and flawless. He might not be far from forming a Tao spirit. The Tao spirit of the physical body is the completion of the physical body and the understanding of one's own path. The Tao spirit of the origin Tao is stepping into the unification of 10,000 Taos and forming the 3,000 origin of the great Tao. Only after comprehending the 3,000 origin of the great Tao and merging them into the indestructible primordial spirit, can my indestructible primordial spirit evolve into a Tao spirit of the primordial spirit and Tao spirit of the heart. As for walking out of my origin Tao, that might be the moment for me to prove my Tao. Ling Xiao thought to himself. There was a trace of enlightenment in his eyes. The path ahead was set. All he had to do now was cut through all obstacles and press forward. There was a purple pearl floating in Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. It emitted a blurry purple light and looked extremely mysterious. After Yu Ming's death, the primordial pearl, a chaos treasure, naturally fell into Ling Xiao's hands. Ling Xiao naturally couldn't give the primordial pearl to Zhou Yuan. Instead, he let the primordial pearl refine the yin-yang origin in the yin-yang pearl, and kept the primordial pearl in his primordial spirit to nurture it. As for the yin-yang pearl, he returned it to Zhou Yuan. Ling Xiao couldn't understand the primordial pearl, and it wasn't easy to refine it. The reason why Ling Xiao could keep it in his body was because of the primordial purple vapor in his body. There seemed to be primordial purple vapor in the primordial pearl. Ling Xiao nurtured the primordial pearl as he slowly refined it. The primordial pearl has already devoured the yin-yang origin in the yin-yang pearl, and seems to have fallen into a deep slumber. I have a feeling that if the primordial pearl refines all of the yin-yang origin, it might be of great use to me. Ling Xiao thought to himself. No one disturbed Ling Xiao's deep thoughts. The old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and the others felt an extremely mysterious and powerful aura emanating from Ling Xiao's body. It caused the surrounding void to vibrate and made their hearts palpitate. It was as if he was facing an unparalleled great emperor. How strong is Ling Xiao now? Taoist Wuliang and the old goat looked at each other, revealing a look of great confusion and shock. Let's go. The opportunity to become an emperor is about to appear at the end of the void realm. Ling Xiao said slowly. His eyes shone with a mysterious light. The eye of domination seemed to be able to see through the void, and see the end of the void realm. The opportunity to become an emperor? Let's go. The old goat, Taoist Wuliang, Yi Liangchen, Kuan-peng, and the white dragon horse were all extremely excited. Kuan-peng in particular revealed his true form with a pair of wings on his back. He looked like a cloud in the sky and landed at Ling Xiao's feet with a flattering look on his face. Ling Xiao, I'll be your mount in the future. I'll send you to the end of the void realm. The Kuan-peng was extremely excited. He did not doubt that Ling Xiao would become an emperor. He did not reject Ling Xiao at all. It was a great honor for the Kuan-peng tribe to be able to become an emperor's mount. Bootlicker, you don't have the dignity of a Kuan-peng ancestor. The white dragon horse snorted coldly, but he was envious. Who could be better than the dragon horse tribe in terms of mounts? It was a pity that he could not bring himself to do that. He could only watch as the Kuan-peng ran to Ling Xiao to express his loyalty. Let's go. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. The Kuan-peng immediately soared into the sky, and his wings parted the chaotic clouds. He was like a bolt of black lightning as he rushed to the end of the void realm. Behind him, the old goat and Taoist Wuliang followed, each of them in high spirits. They had consumed the yin-yang creation elixir, and their cultivation had broken through to the ninth heaven of the imperial emperor realm. Although they had not condensed their Tao spirits, their strength had increased tremendously. What was the opportunity to become an emperor? Their eyes were filled with anticipation. The void realm. Although it was a mysterious space formed by the heavenly energy, there were all kinds of rare treasures. There were even origin source sacred herbs and extreme metals that could only be born in the chaotic space. The trial takers in the 12 emperor cities were all exceptional geniuses. Although many of them had entered the void realm for the opportunity to become a monarch, they were all extremely talented. However, only one person could obtain the opportunity to become an emperor in the end. Most of the other trial takers were hoping to obtain some treasures in the realm of nothingness to increase their foundation. After all, those who could become an emperor did not rely on the opportunity to become an emperor. It was just that it was easier to become an emperor after obtaining the opportunity to become an emperor. However, that did not mean that they did not pay attention to the opportunity to become an emperor. Anything could happen in the void realm. Perhaps a trial taker would be blessed by the heavenly way and obtain the opportunity to become an emperor. Therefore, when the opportunity to become an emperor appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of countless geniuses. Rumble. In the endless void, blazing lightning flashed. At the same time, auspicious vapors rose and rays of light shone. A huge lotus flower appeared. The lotus flower looked very mysterious. It was intertwined with 3,000 divine chains of order. It was like a staircase to heaven, descending from the void. A vast and majestic aura erupted, causing everyone to tremble and their hearts to palpitate. The opportunity to become an emperor has appeared? Someone said excitedly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Without the slightest hesitation, figures with powerful auras converged from all directions and moved towards the huge lotus flower. The lotus flower was located at the end of the realm of nothingness. Although the realm of nothingness was formed from the energy of the heavenly Tao, it was not endless. The boundary between the energy of the heavenly Tao and the endless nothingness was the end of the realm of nothingness. That place was also known as the ultimate peak. Only by reaching the ultimate peak would one have the chance to obtain the opportunity to become an emperor. For countless eras, those who could reach the ultimate peak were all the most monstrous geniuses. Of course, there were also some geniuses who reached the ultimate peak, but did not obtain the opportunity to become an emperor. Take Yu Ming for example. Although he was known as the 6 ultimate kings and had reached the ultimate peak 6 times, he did not become an emperor. The biggest reason was that he had given up the opportunity to become an emperor. For a peerless genius like Yu Ming, it was not difficult to attain the Tao and become an emperor. However, they had greater ambitions. The secret of transcendence. For 108 eras, countless peerless geniuses and great emperors had been tirelessly pursuing the secret of transcendence. Since ancient times, legends said that after attaining the Tao and becoming an emperor, one could not transcend. Only after attaining the secret of transcendence before attaining the Tao and becoming an emperor would one have the chance to transcend. Therefore, it was not that ancient geniuses like Sakura, Tathagata, and Yu Ming did not have the chance to obtain the opportunity to become an emperor, but they had given it up. They had chosen to seal themselves and awaken in this era for the secret of transcendence. The appearance of the opportunity to become an emperor was not enough to make them excited. However, the opportunity to become an emperor might be related to the secret of transcendence, especially the great calamity of this era. It was known as the most tragic and powerful boundless calamity in 108 eras. Even Sakura and Tathagata would not be willing to let go of the opportunity to become an emperor that appeared in the boundless calamity. Therefore, the battle for the opportunity to become an emperor would definitely be a fierce battle. Chapter 3279. Rumble. A huge lotus flower floated in the endless void. Divine chains of order fell from the sky like the Milky Way, mysterious and unfathomable. The lotus flower seemed to be formed by the power of the heavenly way. It bloomed with a myriad of colors and was mysterious and extraordinary. The area seemed to be shrouded by the power of the heavenly way. Auspicious vapors rose and rays of light shone. All the trial challengers felt refreshed and felt like fish in water. Everyone knew that the gigantic lotus flower was the pinnacle. Only by reaching the ultimate peak could one have the opportunity to fight for the opportunity to become an emperor, or even the legendary secret of transcendence. However, the huge lotus flower had yet to bloom. It was not the best opportunity to reach the ultimate peak yet. Boom. Under the huge lotus flower, 2 figures with terrifying auras collided. In an instant, a storm swept out in all directions and destroyed the endless chaotic aura. Among the 2 figures, one was the majestic and mysterious Indra with a monstrous aura like an emperor. The other was Tathagata in a white monk robe and stood barefoot. Just their auras alone were enough to cover everything, causing the many trial challengers and prodigies to feel their hearts palpitate. Tathagata, it seems that I have underestimated you. Indra took a deep look at Tathagata. His eyes were incomparably cold. Omnipotent. Your Excellency Indra, I am not willing to fight with you. I am only here to find a way to transcend. Tathagata placed one hand in front of his chest and said calmly. He was shrouded in Buddhist light and looked flawless. His entire body exuded an incomparably pure aura. His face was extraordinarily handsome and his skin was like jade. It was admirable. His dharma was profound. There seemed to be countless ancient scriptures around him, as if they were describing some kind of mystery of heaven and earth. Find a way to transcend? What a joke. You can't even transcend yourself. How can you talk about transcending? If you want the secret of transcendence, just say it. I hate hypocrites like you the most. Indra sneered. He exuded a vast emperor aura. As he stepped forward, the chaos in all directions shook. It was as if a heavenly emperor was patrolling, exuding an incomparably majestic aura. The vast aura pressed down on Tathagata. The surrounding heavenly way power was added to Indra's body, making him look even more mysterious. Your Excellency Indra, I am not looking for transcendence. I am looking for a way to transcend. Our paths are different, so naturally, there will be disputes. I can understand that. But now that you are about to reach the ultimate peak, do you really want to fight with me here? Tathagata looked at Indra with clear eyes. Tathagata, your way of transcendence is it? Antawi. Way. Sakra seemed to be ready to attack Tathagata at any time. Your Excellency Indra, if you really want to fight, I will accompany you. Tathagata put his palms together, lowered his head and said calmly. The Buddha light behind him shone, making him look mysterious and immortal, like a supreme golden body. Rumble. The confrontation between the Emperor aura and the Buddha light caused the void to shake violently. Heaven and earth rumbled like a storm, wreaking havoc in all directions. It was just the confrontation between Indra and Tathagata's aura, but it was already unbearable for the surrounding people. Their faces turned pale. The confrontation between peerless geniuses was terrifying. The two of you are about to reach the ultimate peak. The opportunity to become an emperor is about to appear. I'm afraid it's not good for the two of you to fight now, right? A gentle voice resounded in the void, like the spring wind and rain. It quietly appeared between Sakra and Tathagata, resolving the confrontation of aura between the two of them. It was a void war chariot, emitting a dazzling and eternal immortal light. A jade-like figure sat cross-legged on the chariot, as if an immortal emperor had personally arrived. Tao and truth intertwined around him. Although they couldn't see his face clearly, his bright and resplendent eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. Everyone couldn't help but be shocked. It's the 9th prince of the immortal tribe. Someone exclaimed in surprise. The peerless genius who ranked second on the Tao proclamation list, the 9th prince of the immortal tribe, Hong Tian. The 9th prince of the immortal tribe, Hong Tian, was the most outstanding genius in the Eternal Emperor Road. No one had seen him fight before because those who had seen him fight were all dead. He was a genius of this epoch, but he ranked second on the Tao proclamation list. He was dazzling, and countless people admired him. Many people said that Hong Tian's strength was not necessarily weaker than Indra. It was just that they had never fought before. In addition, Indra was a 9 Ultimates king who had reached the ultimate peak in 9 epochs. That was why he was ranked first on the Tao proclamation list. The 9th prince of the immortal tribe sat cross-legged on the immortal emperor's war chariot. He was surrounded by resplendent immortal light that shone through the ages. He appeared in the middle of the clash between Indra and Tathagata's auras. Like a spring breeze, he dissolved their auras. The 9th prince's appearance seemed to instantly become the focus of the world, overshadowing Indra and Tathagata. Your Highness, the 9th prince of the immortal tribe? This poor monk greets you. Tathagata bowed indifferently to the 9th prince of the immortal tribe. His expression was calm and indifferent. His eyes were deep and seemed to be able to reflect the void, revealing an incomparably strange light. Grandmaster Tathagata is too polite. The two of you are about to reach the ultimate peak. If the two of you fight now, it will hurt the harmony. Why don't you stop for now? After the flower of Tao blooms, if the two of you want to continue fighting, I will not stop you. The 9th prince smiled and returned the greeting. Hong Tian, aren't your words a bit too laughable? Reaching the ultimate peak is about being invincible and advancing courageously. What bullshit harmony is needed? Quickly get out of the way, or I will suppress you as well. Indra's gaze was incomparably cold as he stared at the 9th prince of the immortal tribe, and said indifferently. His strength was unfathomable, and he had long developed an overbearing and dignified temperament. No one dared to disobey him. The 9th prince of the immortal tribe in front of him made him instinctively feel a little uncomfortable. He felt a kind of aloof indifference and calmness from the ninth prince of the immortal tribe, as well as the indifference of seeing all living beings as ants. This included him. Indra had long known that the ninth prince of the immortal tribe's strength was extraordinary. Now that he was about to reach the ultimate peak, he couldn't help but want to test Hong Tian's true strength. Your Excellency Indra, you have reached the ultimate peak 9 times. You should be familiar with the flower of Tao blooming, right? You should understand what it means to fight at this time. However, if you insist on fighting, I am willing to experience it. His Highness the Ninth Prince said with a smile. Indra's eyes suddenly constricted, and he took a deep look at the Ninth Prince. He naturally knew what the flower of Tao blooming meant. However, the Ninth Prince of the immortal tribe in front of him seemed to know the realm of nothingness, and the flower of Tao blooming like the back of his hand. That kind of calm and confidence made Indra a little wary. Could it be that Hong Tian had also reached the ultimate peak? However, he didn't have the aura of an era sealed by the era stone on him. He seemed to be a living being of this era. However, he wasn't willing to show weakness. He stared at the Ninth Prince and said coldly, "In that case, I will fulfill your wish." Boom. Sakra's body was surrounded by boundless Emperor's aura. His majestic aura soared up like the birth and death of an epoch. 9 dazzling halos appeared behind him, each of which contained the mysterious power of time. The 9 halos set off Indra as if a great emperor had descended to the mortal world. He was so majestic and mysterious that no one dared to look at him directly. He slapped his palm towards the ninth prince of the immortal tribe. Chaotic light gushed out from his palm, accompanied by endless lightning. It had the power to destroy heaven and earth and reopen the chaos. The surrounding crowd could not help but turn pale. It was as if they could feel that this palm was coming towards them. Their minds were violently shaken, and they actually could not summon any thoughts of resisting. Imperial Heaven Palm. An indifferent and majestic voice exploded in the chaos. It was like a brilliant heavenly might, terrifying beyond compare. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe looked indifferent. He still had a faint smile on his face. Immortal light was faintly discernible around him. Auspicious vapors rose, mysterious and otherworldly. In the face of this palm, he didn't seem to be afraid at all. His eyes were still clear and bright. The unparalleled palm print wrapped in the power of heaven and earth and came down mightily. It looked like it was going to smash the ninth prince of the immortal tribe into meat paste. A sharp light flashed in the ninth prince's eyes. Suddenly, his voice sounded like thunder. Break. It was as if there were billions of blazing lights blooming at the same time. Unparalleled divine power gathered in front of the ninth prince. Runes of great Tao rose and divine chains of order intertwined, clashing with the palm print. Boom. The chaos trembled violently. It was as if billions of gods and demons were roaring. The boundless world was destroyed. An indomitable supreme emperor was trapped by layers of chaos and finally shattered. That palm of Sakra's had actually shattered upon hearing the sound. Heavenly Tao incantation? I didn't expect that there would be someone in the immortal tribe who could cultivate this move. You're not bad. The Sakra's eyes revealed a trace of coldness as he said indifferently. This palm print didn't achieve anything, and it looked like he was at a disadvantage. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe broke his imperial heaven palm with a light shout. In the eyes of the crowd, there was no doubt who was superior. The Sakra's heart was extremely unsettled. The heavenly Tao incantation was said to be a supreme forbidden technique, created by the ancestors of the immortal tribe. Only the strongest of the immortal emperor realm could use it. The heavenly Tao incantation was supported by the power of the heavenly Tao. It exploded with unparalleled divine power. The power of the incantation was unparalleled. The Sakra didn't expect the ninth prince of the immortal tribe to be able to use the heavenly Tao incantation. And its power wasn't much weaker than an immortal emperor realm expert. As a genius who had reached the peak 9 times, the Sakra had seen a supreme emperor. They had even exchanged blows. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe in front of him was the strongest he had seen in his life. Your Excellency, the Sakra is overpraising me. I haven't cultivated the heavenly Tao incantation to perfection. Since I took your palm print, why don't you take a punch from me? The ninth prince of the immortal tribe smiled indifferently. Go ahead. The Sakura said indifferently. In that case, Your Excellency, the Sakura, please give me pointers on this supreme true self fist. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe said indifferently. He sat cross-legged on the immortal emperor chariot and punched out lightly. This punch didn't seem to have any power. It was ethereal and looked extremely slow as it moved towards the Sakura. Everyone felt a little baffled. This punch was like a mortal's fist technique. It didn't even have the aura of the great Tao origin. Could such a fist technique deal with the Sakura? However, Sakura instantly acted as if he was facing a formidable enemy. The terrifying aura around him rose and the sharpness in his eyes was unparalleled. Runes rose and condensed on his fist as he suddenly faced the ninth prince of the immortal race. In the eyes of the Sakura, although the punch didn't have any power, it didn't have any restrictions. The heavenly Tao, origin, time, and space all lost their meaning in front of this punch. This was a mysterious punch, but it made the Sakura feel a great threat. Therefore he didn't hesitate at all. In an instant, he unleashed the strongest supreme fist Tao. The mighty emperor's aura erupted and covered the sky. Bang! A muffled sound came from the void. All the chaotic light in the surroundings dissipated instantly. The Sakura's body shook violently. He took a few steps back before stabilizing his body. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe was still sitting cross-legged on the immortal emperor chariot. He didn't move at all. Supreme True Self Fist? What a great Supreme True Self Fist. Hong Tian, when the great Tao flower blooms, you and I will have a battle at the peak. The Sakura took a deep look at the ninth prince of the immortal tribe. His eyes were incomparably cold. As you wish. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe smiled indifferently. From the beginning to the end, his expression didn't change. It was as if nothing could move him. Omnipotent. His Highness the ninth prince is indeed extraordinary. Tathagata smiled indifferently. His eyes were incomparably deep, but there was a trace of powerful fighting spirit that flashed across. Obviously, the ninth prince of the immortal tribe's strength and unfathomable depth had caused the Buddha era's inheritor to have some thoughts. His Highness the ninth prince of the immortal tribe has the upper hand? Everyone's faces were filled with shock. That light punch had actually forced the Sakura to retreat. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe was becoming more and more unfathomable in their hearts. What the crowd didn't know was that the Sakura's arm was trembling slightly. It had almost turned into mud. He was only able to maintain that arm unscathed by circulating his majestic life force origin to repair it. Otherwise, if his arm was shattered by the ninth prince of the immortal tribe, it would be a great loss of face. Rumble. At this moment, the lotus flower of the great path in the void bloomed with dazzling light. The petals that were originally budding slowly bloomed. The petals unfolded, crystal clear, mysterious and unfathomable. The divine chains of order seemed to be able to penetrate the chaos. They instantly extended to the feet of the trial takers, like heavenly stairs that led to the great Tao lotus. The Sakura, the ninth prince of the immortal tribe, and Tathagata were instantly entangled by two divine chains of order. They flew into the sky at an extremely fast speed. The great Tao flower blooms and the opportunity to become an emperor has appeared. It's time for us to reach the peak. The Sakura, Hong Tian, and Tathagata must know something. Everyone, let's go. We can't let them get the upper hand. Don't block my way. Get out of my way. Kill. The trial takers' eyes instantly turned red. Each of them revealed an incomparably frenzied expression. They stepped onto the heavenly stairs formed by the divine chains of order, rushed into the sky, and swept toward the great Tao lotus. Chapter 3280. Sakura and Tathagata are indeed powerful. However, the ninth prince of the celestial tribe is even more unfathomable. Taoist Wuliang stared at the chaotic trial takers in the distance and sighed. That's right. I have a feeling that the ninth prince of the celestial tribe is the strongest. We have to be careful. The old goat said with a solemn expression. They had also arrived, but they did not approach the great path lotus. Instead, they watched from afar. They had seen the fight between Sakura, Tathagata, and the ninth prince of the celestial tribe. The more they watched, the more they felt that the three of them were powerful. As expected of the ancient sky prides, They had a deep foundation and their strength was unfathomable. Ling Xiao's gaze was calm. However, when he looked at the great path lotus in the void, he revealed a strange look. Reaching the peak. This great path lotus should be formed by the heavenly energy. It contains the opportunity to become an emperor. There will be a great battle. Ling Xiao said slowly. That's right. Brother Ling Xiao, when you step onto the great path lotus, we will help you to defeat all the heroes and seize the opportunity to become an emperor. Although the three of them are strong, they are no match for you. Yi Liangchen said with a smile. His eyes were full of arrogance. No. I have a feeling that if I reach the peak, there will be an accident. Don't follow me. I will act alone. Ling Xiao shook his head. Accident? Could it be because of the Forsaken Ones? The old goat was stunned. Then his expression turned solemn. I'm afraid so. That lotus of the great path is formed from the energy of the way of the heavens. Ling Xiao has stepped on the path of the unification of thousands of Daos. Once he reaches the peak, he will definitely come into conflict with the energy of the way of the heavens. Taoist Wu Yang's eyes revealed a trace of worry. Then you must be careful. The old goat looked at Ling Xiao seriously. Don't worry. You guys be careful. I'm going. Even if I can't obtain the opportunity to become an emperor, I can't let go of the so-called secret of transcendence. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and walked towards the lotus of the great path. Buzz. Ling Xiao's aura was ethereal, without any ripples of cultivation. He looked just like a mortal. However, as he stepped into the air, lotuses bloomed with each step. There was no aura of smoke or fire. It was as if he was ascending a stairway to heaven. He walked step by step towards the lotus of the great path. The chaos mist was faintly discernible. The lotus of the great path dropped down beams of dazzling light. Soon, Ling Xiao's figure disappeared. Let's go. Above the lotus of the great Tao. Dangers are unfathomable. Everyone must be careful. Taoist Wu Yang said slowly. Hee, what's there to worry about? As long as we don't meet Sakura, Hong Tian, and Rulai, those three perverts, as long as the rest of those trash dare to provoke us, no matter how many of them come, they will all die. The white dragon horse laughed proudly. That's right. Let's go. I haven't seen the scenery at the top of the mountain. This time, I will show them how powerful I am, ha ha ha. The Kuanping was also eager to have a try. It exchanged a glance with the white dragon horse and instantly transformed into two bolts of lightning, dashing toward the descending divine chains of order. Taoist Wu Yang and the old goat also shook their heads and followed closely behind. The lotus of the great path floated in the void. It was dazzling and looked incomparably grand. Many challengers followed the divine chains of order, and each of them displayed their extreme speed. The closer they got to the lotus of the great path, the more they could feel the mystery, ancientness, majesty, and vastness of this lotus of the great path. Compared to the lotus of the great path, they were like ants. A sense of insignificance arose in their hearts. At the same time, many challengers who followed the divine chains of order even started a battle. They all understood that the person who stepped onto the lotus of the great path first would be able to obtain a lot of benefits. Therefore, each of them fought to be the first, not hesitating to fight and beheading their opponents. Following the divine chains of order, they could quickly reach the lotus of the great path. However, if they left the divine chains of order, they would be suppressed by the heavenly might. However, Ling Xiao did not follow the divine chains of order. Instead, he stepped into the void and walked forward step by step. The strong winds around him whistled and the vast heavenly might descended. However, it seemed to have no effect on him. Get lost. A black-robed challenger went up a divine chains of order. His face was extremely cold, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The battle sword in his hand was extremely sharp as it slashed down at Ling Xiao from the sky. Boom. Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent. His gaze was fixed on the huge lotus of the great path above his head. He did not even look at the challenger. He casually slapped out with his palm as if he was swatting a fly. Boom. The saber light exploded, and the black-robed trial-taker's body shook violently. He spat out a mouthful of blood. This 9th-level Imperial Lord had actually fallen to the ground. He is Ling Xiao. Someone exclaimed as they recognized Ling Xiao's identity. What? That Ling Xiao who killed Divine King Juwu? Not only did he kill Divine King Juwu, I heard that even the reincarnation Imperial City Lord, 6th Ultimate King Hades, died in his hands. How terrifying. In that case, isn't Ling Xiao a peerless genius on the same level as Sakura, the 9th Prince of the Immortal Tribe, and Tathagata? We can't provoke him. That's right. We can't provoke him. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao with awe and respect in their eyes. No one dared to stop Ling Xiao anymore. They all watched as Ling Xiao stepped on the void and flew towards the lotus of the Great Path at a speed that was not inferior to theirs. Rumble. The closer Ling Xiao got to the lotus of the Great Path, the more he felt the vast heavenly might wreaking havoc. Chaotic lightning flashed around him, constantly enveloping his body. That heavenly might seemed to be completely enraged. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and strong winds howled. The destructive force enveloped the surroundings, causing all the challengers to feel incomparably fearful. Ling Xiao's blood rose as a vast aura shot up into the sky. It was as if he was incompatible with the surrounding heavenly way energy, and was completely rejected by the heavenly way energy. This is the wrath of the heavenly way? How did Ling Xiao provoke the wrath of the heavenly way? Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with disbelief. I heard that Ling Xiao walks the path of 10,000 Daos as one. This has been a forbidden path since ancient times. He would be abandoned by the heavenly way. I'm afraid he's now a forsaken one? Someone guessed. Forsaken by the heavenly way? Ling Xiao is so stupid. Then he's finished. He's targeted by the heavenly way energy. Not to mention seizing the opportunity to attain Dao. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for him to even step into the lotus of the Great Path. Someone gloated. Everyone's attention was attracted to Ling Xiao. The path of 10,000 Daos as one. Forsaken by the heavenly way. These two aroused great interest in the crowd. Some were even happy to see Ling Xiao being suppressed by the heavenly way. Rumble. Chaotic lightning filled the sky like black divine dragons, roaring and wreaking havoc, emitting destructive divine light. They gathered above Ling Xiao's head like a storm, locking Ling Xiao in place. Endless origin energy intertwined with the vast heavenly might. An enormous pressure that could destroy heaven and earth came, wanting to crush Ling Xiao into dust. Ling Xiao raised his head, his gaze calm. The speed at which he soared into the sky increased by a few notches. He faced the lightning that filled the sky and punched out. Crack! A purplish gold light bloomed around Ling Xiao. His entire body seemed to have turned into a blazing bolt of lightning. An unparalleled fist print exploded instantly, blasting the lightning that filled the sky apart. Endless origin energy dissipated in all directions like a storm, containing destructive power. It seemed to be brewing an even more terrifying attack. However, Ling Xiao's body emitted a vast devouring power. It was as if an ancient world had spread out, swallowing all the origin energy around him into his body. Swoosh! Ling Xiao instantly broke through the obstruction of the heavenly might, and stepped directly onto the lotus of the Great Path. He actually went up. Many trial challengers were in disbelief. Ling Xiao could be said to be the fourth person besides Sakura, Hong Tian, and Tathagata to step onto the lotus of the Great Path. However, the key point was that Ling Xiao was a forsaken by the heavens. The strength of a forsaken by the heavens was too terrifying. Rumble. Ling Xiao stepped onto the lotus of the Great Path, and felt that the suppression of the heavenly might was getting stronger and stronger. It was as if millions of immemorial divine mountains were pressing down on him. He could not feel any origin energy of the Great Path. Instead, he felt a deep malice that was targeted and rejected by the heavenly way. Ling Xiao did not care. Although the lotus of the Great Path was formed by the heavenly way, the heavenly way's power was still much weaker in the realm of nothingness. This little bit of pressure did not affect Ling Xiao much. Ling Xiao's gaze fell on the center of the lotus of the Great Path. That lotus platform was radiant and dazzling. It was like a huge altar, tens of thousands of feet tall, mysterious and unfathomable. That lotus platform was the ultimate peak. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Only by reaching there would he be qualified to obtain the opportunity to become an emperor, and even take a peek at the legendary secret of transcendence. Swoosh! Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all, and instantly flew into the distance. Clang! However, at that moment, a blazing radiance came from behind him. Sword chi swept across the area and was extremely terrifying. It was heading straight for Ling Xiao's head. That sword was sharp, domineering, and extremely terrifying. It contained the power to pierce through everything, as if no one could block it. It was a trial taker who had just stepped onto the lotus of the great path. After sensing Ling Xiao's aura, he did not hesitate to attack. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. He turned around and struck out with his palm. Vast and majestic blood energy erupted like an erupting volcano. The unparalleled palm print collided with the sword radiance. The trial taker behind Ling Xiao snorted coldly. When he saw that Ling Xiao had dared to use his bare hands to block his Supreme Emperor weapon, the murderous intent in his eyes burned brighter. Buzz! However, who would have thought that the sword radiance would shatter? The ancient sword radiated a dazzling radiance and buzzed. Although it released the Supreme Emperor's aura, it was unable to pierce through Ling Xiao's palm. Instead, it was caught between Ling Xiao's fingers. What? The trial taker's expression changed. When he saw Ling Xiao's face, his heart skipped a beat. Ling Xiao, hold on. He shouted loudly. His cold eyes revealed a tinge of panic. Boom. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Ling Xiao's fist radiance. The unparalleled fist imprint seemed to be able to suppress the primal chaos. It swept out in all directions, containing the power of great destruction. The trial challenger felt as if he was surrounded by fist imprints from all directions. There was no way to dodge at all. Crack! That cultivator instinctively raised his fist to block, but his arm was shattered by Ling Xiao's punch. Then Ling Xiao's fist pierced through his chest. Layers of mighty force surged into his body, causing his body to tremble violently. Then his entire body exploded. A sky-devouring fire rose and instantly enveloped the blood mist. It began to refine the trial taker's indestructible primordial spirit. Ah, spare me! The trial taker let out a shrill cry. However, it quickly stopped. His flesh and indestructible primordial spirit were completely refined into nothingness by the sky-devouring fire. Then, they turned into a majestic force that surged into Ling Xiao's body. To Ling Xiao, killing a peerless emperor with a single punch was nothing special. He kept the ancient sword that was at the level of an ultimate emperor weapon. Then he turned around and flew towards the lotus platform. The dazzling lotus platform was intertwined with a vast amount of origin energy. Runes of the Great Tao rose and the divine sound of the Great Tao lingered around it. Ling Xiao flew over at lightning speed. It was as if he had affected the Great Tao energy around the lotus platform. In an instant, the surrounding winds and clouds changed. Chaos surged as if a peerless killing intent was brewing. The person who was being targeted was Ling Xiao. You don't want me to obtain the opportunity to become an emperor? That's not something you can decide. Ling Xiao said indifferently. The sharpness in his eyes was unparalleled. A terrifying aura rose around him, as if it could destroy everything. Ba. Your Excellency Ling Xiao, I didn't expect you to embark on the path of the unification of all Daos. Perhaps we can work together on this path to the top. A gentle voice was heard. In the distance, the Buddhist light was dazzling. Tathagata was dressed in a white robe. His temperament was otherworldly. He came barefoot, and there was a faint smile on his lips as he looked at Ling Xiao. He looked very young and extraordinarily handsome. However, his eyes contained endless vicissitudes of life, as if he had experienced countless years. His body exuded a faint golden light that flowed with an immortal aura. Boundless Buddhist light surged as if it had enveloped the void. Tathagata the Venerable? How do you want to work together? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said calmly. Tathagata the Venerable's strength was extraordinary. Although he had only exchanged one blow with Sakura, Ling Xiao vaguely felt that Tathagata the Venerable seemed to be hiding his strength. The successor of the ancient Buddha era had unfathomable strength. He didn't seem to be much weaker than Sakura. Why would such a person want to work with Ling Xiao? Your Excellency Ling Xiao, Sakura is nothing to worry about. However, the ninth prince of the celestial tribe, Hong Tian, is unfathomable. I think that in the entire Eternal Emperor Road, only Your Excellency Ling Xiao can fight with Hong Tian. Let's work together. I will deal with Sakura, and you will deal with Hong Tian. After we reach the top, I will give you the opportunity to become an emperor. I only want to share the secret of transcendence. Tathagata smiled indifferently. His eyes were clear and he was very honest. Share the secret of transcendence? Tathagata the Venerable thinks too highly of me. Are you so sure that I can deal with Hong Tian? Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Among the billions of sky prides in the heavens, only Your Excellency can deal with Hong Tian, because Hong Tian is also on the path of the unification of all Daos. Tathagata said calmly. The unification of all Daos? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he couldn't help but be shocked. Chapter 3281. Ling Xiao's heart was in turmoil. He never thought that he would hear such a secret from Tathagata. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe, Hong Tian, was also on the path of 10,000 Dao unification? Your Excellency Ling Xiao, although no one has succeeded in the path of 10,000 Daos as one since ancient times, it doesn't mean that it's impossible. Many ancient sages have predicted that if they could walk the path of 10,000 Daos as one before they proved their Dao and became an emperor, they might really reach the peak and walk another path. But no matter what, only one person can succeed in the path of 10,000 Dao unification. In a sense, you and Hong Tian are both on the same path and enemies. So, I hope to cooperate with you. Tathagata smiled at Ling Xiao. His eyes were clear and his expression was calm. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and looked at Tathagata. Venerable Tathagata, what if the ultimate secret of transcendence can only be obtained by one person? Naturally, we'll rely on our own methods. But before that, we should first deal with Sakura and Hong Tian, shouldn't we? Tathagata said. All right. In that case, let's cooperate this time. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He was very curious about Venerable Tathagata. Tathagata seemed to be shrouded in Buddhist light, and had a mysterious and unfathomable aura. But when Tathagata mentioned Sakura, there was no fluctuation in his voice. It was as if he could suppress Sakura with a flip of his hand. He was full of confidence. On the other hand, when Tathagata mentioned the ninth prince of the immortal tribe, there was a slight fluctuation in his voice. Amitba, I'll take my leave. Tathagata smiled at Ling Xiao, then turned and walked into the distance. Tathagata? Ling Xiao looked at Tathagata's figure in the distance with a strange look in his eyes. Then he turned and walked in another direction. The huge lotus platform was like a lofty mountain with a majestic aura. The lotus platform emitted a bright light. The origin of the great Tao intertwined and runes rose. The origin of the great Tao here was as vast as the sea, as if it was the place with the densest origin of the great Tao. Ling Xiao came under the lotus platform and immediately felt an incomparably strong repulsive force. The boundless origin energy in the surroundings seemed to be filled with malice towards Ling Xiao. It constantly pressed against Ling Xiao's body, as if it wanted to pulverize him. At the same time, strands of origin energy shot into Ling Xiao's body like arrows, targeting his life origin and indestructible primordial spirit. The source of the heavenly Tao did not have any consciousness, but Ling Xiao was now forsaken by the heavens, abandoned by the heavenly Tao and branded with a mark. It was as if he was isolated from the heavenly Tao, so the source of the heavenly Tao naturally viewed him as a great enemy. Boom. Ling Xiao's gaze was indifferent and calm. His vital energy rose up, vast and boundless. Purple gold light illuminated the surroundings, obliterating the origin energy in the surroundings. Ling Xiao took a step into the air and instantly soared into the sky, heading towards the lotus platform. Is that the end of the sky? Ling Xiao thought to himself. He raised his head. The lotus platform was lofty and majestic, but at the peak of the lotus platform, there was a boundless void. The scene was illusory and unpredictable, and various changes were faintly visible. Ling Xiao seemed to have comprehended something. The peak of the lotus platform was the ultimate peak, and also the end of the sky. The peak of the lotus platform was the end of the Eternal Emperor's road. Rumble. As Ling Xiao charged towards the lotus platform, the surrounding origin energy became denser and denser. At the same time, an extremely terrifying pressure erupted and pressed down on Ling Xiao. If one wanted to step onto the ultimate peak, one had to pass the test of the heavenly Tao. This test was aimed at tempering one's physical body, primordial spirit, origin energy, and spirit in all aspects. However, to Ling Xiao, this test was filled with malice and killing intent. The source of the heavenly Tao surged over, as if it wanted to kill him. Open! Ling Xiao's voice was like thunder, and his eyes were dazzling. He threw out a punch, and the fist print was unparalleled. It was as if it was cutting through all obstacles, and it instantly broke the source of the heavenly Tao that covered the sky. The pressure brought about by the source of the heavenly Tao was extremely terrifying. Even an ordinary ninth heaven imperial emperor would not be able to withstand it, and would be directly suppressed. However, to Ling Xiao, this test only slowed him down by a lot, and it could not cause him any harm. No matter what stood in front of him, he only needed to break it with a punch. Boom, boom, boom. Ling Xiao's vital energy rose, and his body seemed to contain endless power. Every punch that he threw out seemed to be able to split the heavens and the earth apart, and it contained endless mighty power. The source of the heavenly Tao was broken through one after another. He charged into the sky as if he was cutting through all obstacles, and he was about to reach the peak of the lotus platform. However, at this moment, there was a sudden change. A chaotic light enveloped Ling Xiao, and in an instant, the heavens and the earth changed. 9 extremely terrifying auras locked onto Ling Xiao. Rumble! The 9 figures seemed to have come from the chaos era, and they exuded endless emperor's aura. Their auras were extremely terrifying, and there was an invincible aura that could suppress and sweep across the heavens. They stood in front of Ling Xiao, like 9 eternal primordial divine mountains, exerting immense pressure on Ling Xiao. The 9 emperors of the human race. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and there was a trace of bright light in his eyes. Ling Xiao had come from the God of War's world, and he had gone through several tribulations, and he had seen the 9 emperors of the human race. The 9 emperors of the human race were a kind of test for him. As a member of the human race, he had drawn out the mark that the 9 emperors of the human race had left in the heavens and the earth. This in itself was a kind of recognition. Ling Xiao had never thought that he would encounter the 9 emperors of the human race when he was about to reach the peak. The 9 emperors of the human race in front of him all exuded an extremely terrifying aura, and they exuded mighty emperor's aura. Their faces were dignified and ancient, and other than the blurry face of the leader, the other faces were very clear. There were men and women, old and young. Some were elegant, some were indifferent, some were smiling, some were calm, some were dignified, and some were angry. However, there was one thing in common, and in their eyes, there was a compassionate light. At this moment, they probably have the fighting strength of a great emperor? I wonder exactly how much of their strength can be revealed by the brand formed by the heavenly Tao. Ling Xiao muttered to himself, but there was an extremely powerful fighting spirit in his eyes. He respected the 9 emperors of the human race. It was the 9 emperors of the human race who had led the human race to overcome all obstacles, and created the human race era. They had allowed the human race to rise from being weak to being strong, from being bullied by the other races, to standing at the peak of the other races. Although the human race was in decline now, and there were powerful enemies surrounding them, there were still not many powerful enemies who dared to force their way in. This was the deterrence of the 9 emperors of the human race. However, Ling Xiao also knew that the 9 emperors of the human race in front of him were formed by the heavenly Tao's origin. They wanted to suppress him and completely kill him, the audacious Forsaken One. Therefore, Ling Xiao naturally did not hesitate to explode with a powerful fighting spirit. Boom! The blurry face of the leader threw a punch at Ling Xiao. The unparalleled fist print seemed to instantly pierce through the chaos, and it lingered around the 3,000 worlds. It was eternal and immortal, and it contained a supreme power that could destroy everything. The person who was once called the Fist Emperor by Ling Xiao was the most dazzling genius of the human race in the previous era. The Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor's fist suppressed the heavens. Ling Xiao didn't hesitate in the slightest. He also threw out a punch. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body contained a supreme power, and chaotic light rose around him. This punch was an ultimate killing blow, and the mysterious scene of the birth and death of an era appeared. It was as if the long river of time had been completely shattered by this punch, losing all meaning. The fist of an era against the Heavenly Emperor's fist. This was a contest between two supreme fists, and also a contest between two philosophies and paths. It was also a contest between the new generation of the human race and the old generation of the human race. The two supreme fist prints collided in the chaos, and it was like two dazzling suns exploding, setting off endless storms and shocking waves. Ling Xiao and the Heavenly Emperor both trembled slightly and retreated at the same time. The Heavenly Emperor's fist is indeed a supreme fist technique that suppressed the heavens. Your Excellency, take my fist of creation. Ling Xiao's eyes surged with a powerful fighting spirit. He was extremely familiar with the Heavenly Emperor's fist. As his cultivation increased, he felt that the Heavenly Emperor's fist was unfathomable. However, the Heavenly Emperor's fist was the Heavenly Emperor's path, and not Ling Xiao's. That was why he cultivated hundreds of scriptures, merged all techniques, and walked his own path. Facing the Heavenly Emperor now, he could still feel the vastness and terror of this punch. It was as if his physical body, primordial spirit, origin, and soul would be shocked by the fist intent of this punch, and would be completely destroyed. Boom. Ling Xiao did not hesitate and took the initiative to attack. The fist of creation exploded. Endless vitality surged like a river of life, causing the void to tremble violently. This punch contained the birth of all life, and the scene of chaos, and enveloped the Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor also suppressed with a punch. Rumble. Apart from the Heavenly Emperor, the other 8 great emperors attacked Ling Xiao at the same time. The 9 emperors of the human race were the most talented great emperors of the human race. Each one of them could be said to be unparalleled in terms of strength. Ling Xiao was surrounded by the 9 emperors of the human race, and an earth-shattering supreme battle unfolded. Although Ling Xiao knew that the 9 emperors of the human race were formed from the heavenly Tao origin, and perhaps only retained a little of their battle strength, Ling Xiao still felt an incomparably terrifying great emperor's aura. He was bathed in blood, and his fighting spirit soared to the heavens. His will was as firm as iron, and every punch he threw out was like the destruction of chaos. His physical body was strong and immortal, and the physical body Tao spirit and origin Tao spirit appeared behind him, causing Ling Xiao's aura to soar. Around Ling Xiao, the aura of the 9 emperors of the human race was as turbulent as the sea, as if it had merged with the heavenly Tao origin, causing the void to tremble violently. Lightning raged, and chaotic godfiends appeared. Beams of golden destructive light shot out and enveloped Ling Xiao like an inescapable net. The 9 emperors of the human race's strength was extremely heaven-defying. Although they did not preserve all of their cultivation, the 9 great emperors still caused great damage to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's physical body was immortal, and his primordial immortal body had reached perfection. However, under the siege of the 9 emperors of the human race, his physical body was almost completely shattered. Even his physical body Tao spirit and origin Tao spirit seemed to be annihilated at any time. Ling Xiao was severely injured, and his body was covered in wounds. His aura was extremely weak, but his eyes were bright and his fighting spirit was growing stronger and stronger. This battle was incomparably difficult. Since stepping onto the Eternal Emperor Road, Ling Xiao had never experienced such an extremely difficult battle. Although Ling Xiao was severely injured, his indestructible primordial spirit shone brightly, and his entire person seemed to have entered an extremely strange state. Boom, boom, boom. Ling Xiao's fist prints were unparalleled, crushing everything. In the end, the 9 emperors of the human race were about to exhaust their strength, and they were annihilated by Ling Xiao's fist radiance. You're not bad. The Sky Emperor, whose face was blurry, revealed a strange light in his eyes. He looked at Ling Xiao in front of him, and actually gave up resisting. Bang! He was shattered by Ling Xiao's fist, and turned into a speck of spiritual light that drifted between heaven and earth. What? Ling Xiao's heart trembled slightly. Weren't the 9 emperors of the human race imprints formed by the heavenly Tao origin? They shouldn't have spiritual intelligence, but why did the Sky Emperor say something to him in the end? Ling Xiao clearly sensed that it wasn't an illusion, but the Sky Emperor was really telling him something, as if they were separated by an endless river of time. 1. The 9 emperors of the human race were annihilated by Ling Xiao's fist and turned into 9 bright rays of spiritual light. At this moment, they circled around Ling Xiao and then instantly merged into his glabella. Rumble. In Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, his indestructible primordial spirit sat cross-legged in the void, like a chaotic fiend god, with a mysterious and ancient aura. At this moment, the 9 rays of spiritual light merged into Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit, like 9 bright halos, and added to his primordial spirit. Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit had already reached the perfect realm, and at this moment, after merging with the 9 rays of spiritual light, it instantly bloomed with a dazzling light, and began to rapidly expand. In an instant, Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit had expanded by tens of thousands of feet. In the vast primordial spirit sea of consciousness, the indestructible primordial spirit was like a supreme emperor, surrounded by 3,000 origin Tao fruits. Its aura was mysterious and unfathomable. The 3,000 origin Tao fruits also sent strands of Tao rhyme into Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit. Crack! It was as if lightning had split the heavens and earth, and a world had been born from the chaos, giving birth to life. After Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit, a mysterious figure emerged. At first, it was incomparably illusory, but soon became more and more solid. In the end, Ling Xiao felt his indestructible primordial spirit rapidly expand, and his aura became even more mysterious. The figure was the primordial spirit's Tao spirit. Is this a gift from the 9 emperors of the human race? A complicated look appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. He found it hard to imagine how the 9 emperors of the human race had broken through the shackles of the heavenly Tao origin and left him with 9 rays of origin spiritual light. The 9 rays of origin spiritual light had allowed his indestructible primordial spirit to naturally give birth to a Tao spirit. Rumble. Behind Ling Xiao, 3 figures with incomparably terrifying auras emerged. Like chaos demons, they were ancient, majestic, and intimidating. The physical Tao spirit, the origin Tao spirit, and the primordial spirit Tao spirit combined into one, making Ling Xiao appear even more unfathomable. At the same time, the chaos around Ling Xiao shattered, and his figure appeared at the top of the lotus platform. Chapter 3282. The scene below the lotus platform was all illusory. In order to ascend to the peak, one had to undergo the test of the heavenly Tao. This test was different for everyone. Some were the obsessions of the heart, some were the chaos of gods and demons, some were the lightning tribulation, and some were the tempering of the origin flame. The battle between Ling Xiao and the 9 emperors of the human clan was the test of the heavenly Tao origin. However, the difference was that Ling Xiao was a robber. Hence, the test of the heavenly Tao origin source had turned into a killing trap for Ling Xiao. The heavenly Tao origin source wanted to exterminate Ling Xiao completely, which was why it had created the 9 emperors of the human race. If it was anyone else, they would definitely die under the siege of the 9 emperors of the human clan. It was simply impossible to resist. However, Ling Xiao persevered and finally destroyed the imprinted bodies of the 9 emperors of the human clan. He also received a gift from the 9 emperors of the human clan. Ling Xiao's figure appeared at the top of the lotus platform. The lotus platform was tens of thousands of feet tall and looked like a cliff. Below it was a dense cloud of chaotic gas, and above it was an endless void. Standing on the lotus platform, Ling Xiao looked at the void above his head. He vaguely saw an extremely mysterious world. He suddenly remembered the evil intention's words. Master, this is the end of the Eternal Emperor Road, also known as the Ultimate Peak. Countless eras ago, the Tai Celestial Emperor and ancestor god Azura were here and saw a world gate in the endless void. The evil intention's voice rang in Ling Xiao's mind. Is that the world you're talking about? Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he looked at the mysterious world in the void and said slowly, "Don't worry." World. What world? I don't see it. Perhaps it hasn't appeared yet. However, Master must seize the opportunity. The Tai Celestial Emperor and ancestor god Azura once guessed that even if the secret of transcendence appeared in this era, it's very likely to be in that world. the evil intention said with some doubt. You don't see it? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. Only then did he remember that he could see the world in the endless void, because he had opened the eye of the ruler. The others probably did not see it at this moment. If what the evil spirit said was true, and the secret of transcendence was in that world, Ling Xiao would really have to go in and investigate. There's actually a hidden world at the end of the Eternal Emperor Road. Could it be a world created by the heavenly Tao? Ling Xiao thought to himself. Ling Xiao? Should I call you the son of God or Ling Xiao? I didn't expect that your speed would actually be so fast. A faint voice rang out, interrupting Ling Xiao's train of thought. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Instantly he saw the fog in the distance dissipating. Resplendent immortal light permeated the air as a mysterious silhouette appeared before him. He was a flawless young man. His appearance was handsome like jade, and his eyes seemed to contain the vast starry sky. He wore a Taoist robe, and his entire body seemed to have fused into one with the chaos and nothingness in the surroundings. There was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. His face was gentle, and his temperament was otherworldly. He walked out of the chaos, and his gaze towards Ling Xiao contained a trace of surprise, a trace of admiration, and a trace of excitement. That's right, excitement. So it's Your Highness, the Ninth Prince. I didn't expect Your Highness to be one step ahead of me and reach the peak. Ling Xiao said calmly. From the first time he'd met the Ninth Prince of the Immortals in the world of immortals, Ling Xiao had known that the Ninth Prince was extremely powerful and unfathomable. Even though Ling Xiao had met Yu Ming, Lord Tathagata, and even Indra, he felt that they were inferior to the Ninth Prince of the Immortals. Now that he'd met the Ninth Prince, that feeling had only intensified. I wonder how far he's gone on the path of 10,000 Daos as one. Ling Xiao wondered to himself. Ever since Lord Tathagata had said that the Ninth Prince of the Immortals also walked the path of 10,000 Daos as one, Ling Xiao's heart had been filled with confusion and curiosity. The Ninth Prince of the Immortals was the son of the Immortal Emperor. He was hailed as the most talented genius of the Immortals in this epoch, so it shouldn't be too difficult for him to prove his Tao and become an emperor. But why would he walk the path of 10,000 Daos as one? Ling Xiao, what do you think about the opportunity to become an emperor and the secret of transcendence? The Ninth Prince of the Immortals smiled faintly. Your Highness, you should know better than me, right? The calamity of this epoch is known as the Immeasurable Calamity, and it's rumored that the secret of transcendence will appear on the Eternal Emperor's road. Perhaps only by obtaining the opportunity to become an emperor can one peek at the secret of transcendence. Ling Xiao said faintly. That's not the case. The Ninth Prince smiled faintly. Ling Xiao, perhaps you don't know that the opportunity to become an emperor this time is just a cover. Even if it's real, it doesn't matter. For you and I, we don't need any opportunity to become an emperor to prove our Tao and become an emperor. However, the secret of transcendence is the supreme creation that countless people have pursued since ancient times. And I happen to know where the secret of transcendence is. Why don't we work together this time? If we obtain the secret of transcendence, we'll study it together. What do you think? The Ninth Prince's words made Ling Xiao's eyes reveal a strange look. Lord Tathagata had asked him to work together not long ago. And now the Ninth Prince wanted to work with him as well? What medicine were they selling in their gourds? It's not that we can't work together, but where is the secret of transcendence? Can Your Highness tell me? Ling Xiao asked without revealing his emotions. It's very simple. The secret of transcendence is in the void. The Ninth Prince smiled faintly and said as he looked at the endless void. It's in this endless void. But I don't see anything? Ling Xiao pretended to be surprised and asked. It's normal that you can't see anything. In the endless void, there's an ancient world. The secret of transcendence is hidden in that ancient world. However, it's not that easy to enter that world. You and I need to work together to break through the boundary and enter that world. The Ninth Prince smiled faintly. He knows about that world too? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. The immortal race was indeed an ancient race that had existed since the first era. They were even more ancient than the demon race. They really did know a lot of secrets. Among all the trial challengers and prodigies, Only Lord Sakra and Lord Tathagata can pose a threat to us. Why don't we deal with them first, and then enter that world together to search for the secret of transcendence? What do you think? The ninth prince of the immortal race smiled faintly. He believed that Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to resist this temptation. This was because he was the only one who knew the secret of transcendence among all the trial takers. It was impossible for the others to open that ancient world. All right. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment, and then said faintly, "Very good. Lord Sakra may be first on the Tao proclamation list and the 9 Extinction King, but he's very weak. He's not even a match for Lord Tathagata. I'll leave Lord Sakra to you later and Lord Tathagata to me. Once we've dealt with those two, we'll search for the secret of transcendence." The ninth prince of the immortal race said slowly, "All right. However, I'm afraid the other trial challengers and prodigies won't just stand by and watch, right?" Ling Xiao asked. "It doesn't matter. If they don't know what's good for them, then this will naturally be their burial ground. I believe that with the two of us taking action, the others won't be so blind." The ninth prince of the immortal race smiled faintly. Rumble. As soon as the ninth prince of the immortal race finished speaking, a chaotic light rose in the distance. A figure with a powerful aura shot up from the bottom of the lotus platform, exuding a majestic, ancient, and invincible aura. He appeared in front of Ling Xiao and the ninth prince of the immortal race. It was Lord Sakra. After he reached the peak and saw Ling Xiao and the ninth prince of the immortal race, a cold glint flashed in his eyes. "You're Ling Xiao." Lord Sakra stared at Ling Xiao and said indifferently in a condescending manner. He was a little surprised. He originally thought that he was the first to reach the peak, but he didn't expect that the ninth prince and Ling Xiao would be one step ahead of him. "That's me." Ling Xiao replied faintly. "Come here and follow me. If you make a great contribution, I'll bestow upon you the opportunity to become an emperor." Lord Sakra said indifferently in a commanding tone. "You must be joking, right? Let's not talk about whether you can obtain the opportunity to become an emperor. Even if you do, what qualifications do you have to make me follow you?" Ling Xiao smiled faintly and his expression was still very calm. He also didn't expect Lord Sakra to be so domineering, asking him to follow him as soon as he opened his mouth. If it were an ordinary person, they would have attacked him out of anger. However, he didn't believe that Lord Sakra would be so overbearing and superficial. He was afraid that there was a deeper meaning. "You don't know what's good for you. Since you're not willing to be my follower, then die." Lord Sakra's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he punched towards Ling Xiao. Lord Sakra actually attacked without saying a word. Rumble. Chaotic light rose from Lord Sakra's body. It was as if a chaotic world appeared behind him and pressed down on Ling Xiao mightily. Lord Sakra actually cultivated the chaotic Great Tao, which was known as the #1 Great Tao in all heavens. Once the chaotic Great Tao appeared, the myriad of worlds bowed down. That peerless sharpness made any Emperor Realm expert's heart palpitate. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he also greeted with a punch. Although legend said that Lord Sakra had the combat strength of a supreme great emperor, Ling Xiao had just destroyed the imprint of the 9 emperors of the human race. Facing Lord Sakra, he wasn't afraid at all. In Ling Xiao's opinion, although Lord Sakra was strong, compared to the 9 emperors of the human race, he was still lacking by quite a bit. Especially the Sky Emperor's Sky Emperor Fist, which encompassed the chaos, suppressed the 8 barren lands, and was invincible. Rumble. The 2 fists collided, and the chaotic mist suddenly turned into nothingness. With Ling Xiao and Lord Sakra as the center, a storm swept out. Ling Xiao's figure didn't move an inch, but Lord Sakra couldn't help but take a few steps back. Lord Sakra's eyes revealed a trace of shock. The strength of Ling Xiao's fist actually made him feel as if he was facing a supreme great emperor. His original idea was to test Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao's strength wasn't strong enough, he would just kill him with a punch. If his strength wasn't bad, then he would use force to suppress Ling Xiao and become his follower. However, he didn't expect Ling Xiao's strength to be so strong. "Lord Sakra, take a punch from me too," Ling Xiao said indifferently. His eyes flashed with a sharp light, and the blood around him rose. A purplish golden light bloomed, and then he threw out a punch. The unparalleled fist was like a divine dragon that traversed across the sky, spanning hundreds of millions of miles, and enveloped Lord Sakura. Lord Sakura's body shook violently, an endless chaotic light gushed out from his body, turning into a huge chaotic fist. It was like an immemorial sacred mountain that welcomed the attack. Gotcha! The dragon's might was unparalleled. Ling Xiao's punch was like an immemorial ancestral dragon that came back to life, containing the power to destroy everything. In an instant, the fist was destroyed, and then it fiercely imprinted on Lord Sakura's chest. Lord Sakura's body bloomed with dazzling light, and 9 mysterious halos spread out, surrounded by a mysterious aura of the era, constantly resisting the onslaught of the fist. In the end, the 9 halos gradually dimmed, and Lord Sakura was also sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. Di Tian's expression instantly became incomparably ugly. How is this possible? Lord Sakura's heart was in a state of shock. The strength of the 9th prince of the immortal tribe was already unbelievable to him. After all, the immortal tribe had been passed down since ancient times, and had gone through countless eras. They had a deep foundation, which was something that he could barely accept. However, Ling Xiao was just a nobody, and the human tribe had only become the epic lord in this era. How could Ling Xiao have such terrifying combat strength? 3 great Tao spirits. Lord Sakura could clearly see that Ling Xiao had already condensed 3 great Tao spirits, and they were exactly the same as him. Damn it! Lord Sakura's face turned ashen. He had also condensed 3 great Tao spirits, but to Lord Sakura, it wasn't difficult to condense the 4th Tao spirit. However, after condensing the 4th Tao spirit, there would be an irreversible process, and he would soon become an emperor. In order to seal himself, he had been suppressing himself. It was the same for Reverend Rulai. Ling Xiao had condensed 3 great Tao spirits, which was still beyond his imagination. After all, when Ling Xiao defeated Divine King Ju Wu, it was said that he had only condensed 1 Tao spirit. How long had it been? And he had already gathered 3 great Tao spirits. Lord Sakura found it hard to accept. It took him a few eras to condense 3 great Tao spirits. That's right. Ling Xiao, I'll leave Lord Sakura to you. Leave the rest to me. Quickly get rid of them, and I'll go and seize the opportunity to become an emperor. The 9th prince of the immortal tribe smiled faintly, and then pressed down with his palm. Boom. In the distance, a figure who was about to step onto the top of the lotus platform was instantly sent flying by his palm. The 9th prince of the immortal tribe was surrounded by dazzling immortal light. In an instant, runes rose up like golden lotuses and floated in all directions, sealing the lotus platform. He rose into the air and stood in the void. Rays of dazzling immortal light rose like sword rays, forming an extremely terrifying immortal slaughtering formation. Finally, with a flash of light, the immortal slaughtering formation was completely hidden in the chaos, waiting for someone to take the bait. The 2 of you are actually working together? Lord Sakura's face changed slightly, and a trace of cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. He didn't expect Ling Xiao and the 9th prince of the immortal tribe to work together. A trace of cruel killing intent spread from his face. In an instant he took a step forward, and the lotus platform trembled violently. Endless power of the great Tao gathered, and a vast heavenly might rose. In the center of the lotus platform, a dazzling lotus seed rose. It looked dazzling and crystal clear, as if it contained endless Tao rhymes. Want the opportunity to become an emperor? What a fool's dream. Lord Sakura sneered. He grabbed the lotus seed in the air, and then instantly leaped up and flew toward the endless void. In Ling Xiao's eyes, the direction Lord Sakura was flying in seemed to be a distorted passage that faintly led to an ancient world. Peak. Chapter 3283. Rumble. Murderous intent flashed across the 9th prince's eyes as he slammed his palm down on Sakura. The unparalleled palm print covered the sky, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. It contained endless immortal light, and at the same time, 9 colored flames spread out, turning into golden flame lotuses. The 9-colored immortal lotus fire bloomed in the void, enveloping Sakura. Ling Xiao, stop him. The heavenly Tao lotus seed in his hand is the opportunity to become an emperor. The ninth prince's voice was like an explosion of heavenly might. Boom! Sakura and the ninth prince of the celestial race clashed head-on. The chaotic light around him rose as if he had transformed into a supreme celestial demon that could devour heaven and earth, annihilating the nine-colored celestial lotus flames one after another. After hearing the ninth prince's words, a sharp light flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes. He instantly soared into the sky and punched down on Sakura. The opportunity to become an emperor. Ling Xiao did not expect that the opportunity to become an emperor would appear so suddenly. And it was discovered by Sakura. How did Sakura know where the opportunity to become an emperor is? A trace of doubt flashed in Ling Xiao's heart, but he didn't slow down at all. His epic fist was like a vast river of stars, sweeping across and enveloping Sakura. Kill. Sakura's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The heavenly Tao lotus seed in his hand bloomed with dazzling light, causing his aura to skyrocket. Under the support of the heavenly Tao lotus seed, Sakura exuded a mighty emperor's aura. It was as if he had merged with the Tao of chaos, and the endless chaos around him could be used by him. His palm suddenly slashed down, and the chaotic blade aura that was tens of thousands of feet long cut through the void, instantly shattering the starry river in the sky, and then collided with Ling Xiao. Boom! In the void, there was a muffled explosion. Endless chaotic light rose, and at the same time, it was annihilated. Ling Xiao felt that the chaos around him was like a sharp blade, wildly surging towards him. There were clanging sounds, and sparks flew in all directions. It was as if he was being sliced into pieces, and it was extremely sharp. Break! Ling Xiao let out a thunderous roar, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Unparalleled sound waves swept out, annihilating the saber light. Ling Xiao went straight up. The three Tao spirits appeared behind him, shining with unparalleled light. At the same time, Ling Xiao's aura began to rise violently. Rumble! He threw over 10,000 punches in an instant. Every punch was ferocious and contained the power of creation and creation. The Fist of Epic and the Fist of Creation had gathered the origin energy of the 3,000 great Taos. Every punch contained a brilliant and unfathomable heavenly might. The path of 10,000 Taos as one. Idiot, you're just courting death. Killing intent flickered in Sakura's eyes. It was as though there was a great Tao of primordial chaos behind him, causing him to appear dignified and mysterious. Each of his attacks was supported by the great Tao of primal chaos. Extreme Tao Emperor's might rose, and the light of primal chaos annihilated everything. It was unstoppable. Ling Xiao and Sakura were like two resplendent balls of light in the void, constantly colliding with each other. The power was heaven-defying to the extreme. Rumble! At this moment, a dazzling Buddhist light suddenly bloomed at the top of the lotus platform. It was vast and boundless. A mysterious figure walked over, emitting a chant that caused people to involuntarily feel reverence in their hearts. Tathagata the Venerable walked barefoot in the void with a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. However, before he could reach the top of the lotus platform and get a good look at the scenery, he was surrounded by resplendent immortal light. Streaks of nine-colored immortal lotus flames rose into the air. Unparalleled sword chi weaved together to form a terrifying killing formation that enveloped him. Tathagata the Venerable, you should leave the top of the lotus platform for now. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe said indifferently. Your Highness the ninth prince, you can't stop me. Tathagata the Venerable said calmly. Is that so? You can try. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe said with a faint smile. Boom. He stretched out his hand and clenched it. Suddenly, resplendent immortal light filled the sky and fell into his palm. It turned into a sword chi that pierced through hundreds of millions of miles, and slashed down at Tathagata the Venerable. Umitba. Tathagata the Venerable lowered his head, put his palms together, and softly chanted the Buddha's name. Behind him, an endless Buddha's light surged. A Buddha that was hundreds of millions of miles tall appeared, sitting cross-legged in the endless void and emitting endless light. The sword chi slashed at the Buddha. Instantly, endless Buddha's light bloomed and annihilated the sword chi. The Buddha struck out with his palm. Like a guest from outer space, his palm pierced through the endless void and pressed down on the ninth prince of the immortal tribe. Destroy. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe shouted. Endless light bloomed from his palm. A sharp beam of immortal Tao shot across the sky and collided with the palm. Then they were annihilated at the same time. Boom. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe waved his sleeve. Immediately, endless immortal Tao runes rose. Flames gathered and lightning blazed. The immortal Tao killing formation exploded completely, enveloping Tathagata within. Ha ha ha. Hong Tian, you brat, take this. An arrogant and domineering voice exploded in the void, causing heaven and earth to rumble. It was a tall middle-aged man. He held a huge saber in his hand. His face was dignified, and his aura was fierce and violent. He exuded a merciless and endless saber will. He slashed down with his saber. The saber light seemed to split the void in half. It was extremely domineering. Gu Tongtian. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He revealed a look of incomparable surprise. However, he did not hesitate to attack. Endless immortal light bloomed from his palm. It was as if an ancient world had appeared and enveloped Gu Tongtian. He did not expect it to be Gu Tongtian of the divine tribe. Gu Tongtian was known as the peerless genius of the divine tribe in the immortal world. He was extremely powerful, but the ninth prince of the immortal tribe did not take him seriously. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe did not expect Gu Tongtian to have also entered the realm of nothingness and reached the peak. Boom. The blade light was dazzling and was absorbed by the ancient world. However, it was as turbulent as the sea and extremely resplendent. It destroyed the world and instantly headed for the ninth prince of the celestial clan's forehead. Two beams of light shot out from the ninth prince's eyes. They contained the power to destroy everything. They collided with the saber light and were annihilated at the same time. Kill. Those who stand in my way shall die. Two more roars rang out in the void. Their divine might was as vast as the sea and caused the void to rumble. They were two monstrous geniuses on the Tao affirmation list. When they saw the ninth prince of the immortal tribe seal the top of the lotus platform with the immortal Tao killing formation, they attacked him without hesitation. Ascending to the peak, obtaining the opportunity to become a great emperor, and peeking into the secrets of transcendence. This was an irresistible temptation for all trial challengers. For this reason, it wouldn't be a problem for them to face Indra, Hong Tian, and Tathagata. Rumble. As more and more trial challengers ascended to the top of the lotus platform, the chaotic battle grew increasingly intense. Although the ninth prince's immortal Tao killing formation was strong, the other trial challengers and geniuses were also exceedingly strong. With their combined strength and the unfathomable venerable Tathagata, the immortal Tao killing formation was in imminent danger. It looked like it would shatter at any moment. Why is Ling Xiao fighting with Indra? Is that the heavenly Tao lotus seed in Indra's hand? Tathagata was somewhat puzzled, but his eyes lit up when he saw the seed in Indra's hand. The heavenly Tao lotus seed was formed from the energy of the heavenly Tao, and it was a supreme precious treasure that was nurtured from it. Obtaining it could allow an imperial monarch's grand Tao quintessence to swiftly attain perfection and merge with the heavenly Tao, and it would increase their chances of attaining the Tao and becoming an imperial monarch. This was the opportunity to become a great emperor. However, the opportunity to become a great emperor was different every time the path of eternal emperor began. Obtaining the heavenly Tao lotus seed meant that one had taken half a step into the great emperor realm. However, in Tathagata's opinion, the heavenly Tao lotus seed was not only an opportunity to become a great emperor, but also a key. Let's begin the legendary key to the ancient world. Whoever holds the key will have a great chance of obtaining the secret of transcendence. Tathagata's eyes were dazzling, and the aura around him burst out in a mighty manner. Buddhist light surged and surged, terrifying to the extreme. He erupted with supreme power, and the gigantic Buddha behind him seemed to have merged with him, causing his aura to skyrocket and his attacks to become even fiercer. The immortal Tao killing formation was in imminent danger, and in the end, it shattered with a loud bang. Rumble. Tathagata attacked without hesitation, and a palm pressed down on Indra. The unparalleled palm print bloomed with dazzling Buddhist light, as if it could destroy everything. At the same time, it was like a divine kingdom, enveloping Indra. Buddhist kingdom in the palm. This was a secret divine ability of the Buddhist sect. It was so powerful that it could turn the entire world into a palm. Tathagata, you're courting death. Killing intent surged in Indra's eyes, and his anger rose. After he obtained the heavenly Tao lotus seed, he wanted to open the ancient world directly, but he did not expect to be entangled by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's combat strength was so powerful that he could not escape. Moreover, Ling Xiao's supreme fist intent seemed to be able to destroy everything, causing Indra's chi and blood to surge violently. Now, with the addition of Tathagata's venerable, he was in imminent danger. Ling Xiao, leave Indra to me. You go and stop Hong Tian. Later, we'll search for the secret of transcendence together. Tathagata's venerable transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. Tathagata's venerable, why don't you go and deal with Hong Tian? I must get the opportunity to become a great emperor in Indra's hands. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, but his voice was incomparably determined. His attacks were fierce and overbearing, and vast fist prints shrouded the surroundings. The Fist of Epic and the Fist of Chaos were supported by the 3,000 great Daos. His entire body seemed to have turned into the heavenly Tao, and his every move contained vast heavenly might. Even if it was Sakra, he was also somewhat unable to bear such a ferocious and vast fist print. Benefactor Ling Xiao, you and I have already discussed this. Why are you going back on your words? Tathagata's venerable said with a frown. Back on my words? What do you mean by back on my words? The opportunity to become a great emperor belongs to me. After I kill Indra and take the heavenly Tao lotus seed, I will naturally deal with Hong Tian. Before that, I'll have to trouble Venerable to stop Hong Tian. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and transmitted his voice to Tathagata's venerable. In that case, let's rely on our own skills. Tathagata said indifferently, and his expression became calm. However, his eyes were incomparably deep, and there seemed to be black demonic light rising around him. The Buddha behind him became half black and half white, and the demonic light and Buddha light coexisted, emitting a destructive aura. Rumble. When the Buddha was angry, it was as if the world was going to be destroyed. Terrifying and unparalleled attacks continuously suppressed Indra. Indra, hand over the heavenly Tao lotus seed. At this moment, the 9th prince of the immortal clan also charged towards Indra at the same time. The immortal Tao killing array had already been broken, and it was meaningless to continue to stop those trial challengers. The 9th prince of the immortal clan was here to seize the heavenly Tao lotus seed. Dazzling sword light traversed the void and shrouded Indra. Heavenly Tao lotus seed? Just leave it to me, Gu Tongtian said coldly. His blade light was unparalleled, and without any hesitation, he also charged towards Indra. In the blink of an eye, Indra became the target of public criticism. The heavenly Tao lotus seed in his hand attracted everyone's attention. It was not only an opportunity to become a great emperor, but also contained the secret of transcendence. Therefore, many trial challengers charged towards Indra. Boom. Indra was sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch, and then he suffered a palm strike from Tathagata's venerable. His chest caved in, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His chest and back were also left with 2 deep bloodstains, which were left by the 9th prince of the immortal clan, Hong Tian and Gu Tongtian. In the blink of an eye, Indra was in an extremely sorry state. Even though he was powerful and extremely heaven-defying, in the face of so many attacks, he was still powerless, and instantly fell into a disadvantageous position. You want the heavenly Tao lotus seed? I'll give it to you. Indra's heart was extremely sullen, and the killing intent in his eyes was boiling. In an instant, the chaotic light surged, and like a storm, it swept away everyone around him. The heavenly Tao lotus seed in his hand bloomed with boundless light, and he directly threw the heavenly Tao lotus seed into the endless void. Heavenly Tao lotus seed? Everyone's eyes lit up instantly, and then they rushed towards the void, wanting to snatch the heavenly Tao lotus seed. Boom. At this moment, a dazzling green light bloomed, and a 36-petaled chaotic green lotus appeared in the void. The light was dazzling, ethereal, and mysterious. A young figure stood on the chaotic green lotus. He reached out and grabbed the heavenly Tao lotus seed in his palm. You're courting death. Leave the heavenly Tao lotus seed behind. Everyone was furious. They didn't expect that the moment Indra surrendered and gave up the heavenly Tao lotus seed, he was intercepted by someone. In an instant, attacks that blotted out the sky and covered the earth enveloped that figure. Emperor Qing? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat, and there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. The figure standing on the chaotic green lotus was Emperor Qing. Time's up. Emperor Qing didn't seem to care about the attacks at all, and there was a trace of strange light in his eyes. The heavenly Tao lotus seed in his palm bloomed with a dazzling light, and formed a mysterious resonance with the chaotic green lotus under his feet. Boom! The heavenly Tao lotus seed instantly soared into the sky, like a light pillar that connected heaven and earth, and bloomed in the endless void. It was like a dazzling sun, and it was extremely dazzling. In the endless void, the dazzling sun was quickly annihilated, and it turned into a black dot that contained a majestic devouring power, as if it was swallowing all the light into it. In that black dot, the mysterious space channel slowly opened. A vast and ancient world appeared in front of everyone as if it had appeared out of thin air. Looking at the vast and ancient world above their heads, everyone couldn't help but tremble, and an endless desire arose in their hearts. It was as if there was something in that world that attracted them, and it made their souls tremble. The immeasurable calamity has begun, and reincarnation has arrived. Whether or not you can obtain the secret of transcendence will depend on yourselves. Emperor Qing's gaze swept across everyone, and it paused on Ling Xiao for a moment, and he said indifferently. Then the chaotic green lotus under his feet flashed, and in an instant, he entered the ancient world and disappeared completely. Chapter 3284. The Myriad Worlds. According to legend, the Myriad Worlds used to be a complete eldritch continent in ancient times. It was known as the Eldritch World. However, an earth-shattering battle took place in ancient times, causing the Eldritch continent to shatter and evolve into the Myriad Worlds. There was a world barrier between the various realms. The myriad races lived in the various great realms. They rarely interacted with each other. Only when the great calamity of an epoch arrived, and the mysteries of heaven became chaotic, and the world barrier weakened, would there be a great war between the myriad races. It was now the 108th era, known as the era of the human race. Legend had it that the great tribulation of an era would arrive at the end of this era. It would be the most terrifying great tribulation in the past 108 eras. At that time, all living beings in the myriad worlds would be swept into it. Blood would be shed, the world would shatter, and the heavens and earth would return to chaos. The beginning of the great tribulation of an era was when the myriad worlds would merge and form the Eldritch continent. As the great tribulation of an era approached, the world barrier of the myriad worlds became weaker and weaker, to the point where even immortals could cross over at will. Between the races of the myriad worlds, there would be great wars from time to time. In order to fight for opportunities and creations, to become stronger and to obtain the chance to survive the immeasurable calamity, the creatures of all races fought against each other endlessly. Today was 100 years after the opening of the Eternal Emperor Road. Rumble. A terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. The world barrier, which was already extremely weak, suddenly shattered. What's happening? I seem to sense a destructive aura. What's going on? Quick, send someone to investigate. All the powerful immortals, sages, and emperors in the myriad worlds lifted their heads at the same time and looked into the endless void. Their eyes were filled with fear. Their souls were trembling and their hearts were palpitating. They did not know what was going on. The various holy lands, divine kingdoms, and ancient races sent out powerful beings one after another in all directions to investigate what was going on. Soon news came. The world barrier disappeared. The immortal world and demon world merged. With the divine space as the boundary, the immortal world and demon world formed an entire continent. How is this possible? The myriad worlds merging in the legends, is it true? In the past, the great calamity of the epoch would only weaken the world barrier, allowing experts to cross over. This time, all the worlds in the heavens have merged together. Is the immeasurable calamity really coming? Not good. Quickly, report. The experts of all the worlds and races in the universe all wore looks of disbelief on their faces. Everyone exploded in anger. To the world, to world, to world, to world was to world, to world, to. The worlds had really merged world. World was world 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 worlds world. The vast world was like a huge jigsaw puzzle, slowly fusing together. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook violently, the world shook, the mountains and rivers shattered, and the sea surged. It was as if a scene of the end of the world had appeared in front of everyone. The fusion of the myriad worlds caused a huge commotion. It was incomparably sudden, and the fate of the heavens was thrown into chaos. As for those experts who were cultivating in seclusion, they coughed out blood one after another, as though they had suffered a powerful backlash. Each of them revealed an incomparably shocked expression. Unparalleled divine might erupted from the fusion of worlds for the living beings near the edge of the world, annihilating mountains and turning cities into dust. Hundreds of millions of lives were spilled. Even someone as powerful as a saint would find it difficult to escape from such a mighty force of heaven and earth. The fusion of all realms was like a heavenly punishment, resulting in an immeasurable amount of death. Who knew how many living beings lost their lives? But this was only the beginning. At the border between the God realm and the devil realm, figures with terrifying auras soared into the sky from the demon territory. When the two worlds calmed down a little, they couldn't wait to kill their way into the God realm. Now that the myriad worlds have merged, it's time for us demons to reign supreme. Kill. These lowly humans are all food for my devil race. Kill them all. Hiki. How many years has it been since I tasted the delicious flesh of humans? I've almost forgotten the taste. This time, I'm going to eat 10 million humans. Those demon experts' faces were incomparably cold, and their eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. Demonic light filled the sky, and one after another, they killed their way into the human cities of the God realm. Many humans in the human cities had yet to recover from the destruction of the fusion of worlds, when they saw the figures of the demons with terrifying auras descending. Oh no! It's the invasion of the demons. Everyone run. There are so many demon experts. We're no match for them at all. Who's going to save us? Don't kill me. I don't want to die. Screams, cries for mercy, and voices of despair sounded from all over the human cities. This human city with a population of more than 10 million quickly turned into a purgatory on earth, filled with monstrous bloody light. How dare you, demons? Die. A cold voice sounded, and an elder with white hair and beard rose into the sky. His hair and beard were fluttering, and his eyes were filled with anger. The ancient sword in his hand rose into the sky, and sword chi swept across the void. In an instant, dozens of demons were killed by his sword. It was a saint. Kiki, there's a human in the saint realm? Just in time for me to have a good meal. An elder from the demon clan in a black robe was covered in demonic flames, and his eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. He slammed his palm down from the sky. Boom. The sword chi that filled the sky suddenly shattered, and the elder from the human clan spat out blood as if he was struck by lightning. His eyes were filled with horror. A saint king from the demon clan? The elder in the black robe was a saint king, which was far more powerful than him. He was instantly filled with despair. Boom. The elder from the demon clan had a mocking look in his eyes. He reached out and grabbed the elder from the human clan like an eagle grabbing a chick. He then clenched his fist. A mist of blood exploded, and the elder from the human clan was completely destroyed. The elder from the demon clan took a big gulp and swallowed all the blood and flesh into his stomach. He stuck out his scarlet tongue and licked his lips, and his eyes were filled with evil. It's delicious. Kill all of them. Following the order of the old man from the demon race, numerous demon race experts charged into the human cities and began a bloody massacre. Not long after, the screams gradually dissipated. The tens of millions of humans in the city were slaughtered, and it was completely turned into a dead city. Children, continue to kill with me. The elder from the demon clan waved his hand, and immediately all the experts from the demon clan cheered. Their eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent, and they quickly flew into the distance. Not only the demon clan, but many powerful clans that bordered the divine realm had invaded the divine realm and began to ruthlessly slaughter the humans, snatch their resources, and occupy large areas. The surrounding areas were filled with smoke, and many places were turned into purgatory. In the divine realm, the human clan had suffered unimaginable losses. Countless humans were killed, and it was extremely tragic. Not only the divine realm, but many worlds in the heavens were invaded, and there were endless wars. Some of the weaker clans were even directly wiped out in this chaos and war. The heavens had just begun to merge, and it became extremely chaotic. The immeasurable cataclysm was about to arrive, and the heavens were in chaos. The originally peaceful heavens instantly turned into a bloody purgatory. The heavenly prison world could now be called the heavenly prison region. The world barrier of the heavenly prison world had also disappeared and began to merge with the surrounding worlds. However, other than the chaos at the beginning, it seemed to be relatively peaceful. Because under the conquest of Faithling Xiao, the surrounding hundreds of worlds had been attacked by Faithling Xiao and became the territory of the heavenly court. In the vast and majestic heavenly palace in the heavenly prison region, Faithling Xiao's body was shining with golden light. He sat cross-legged on a huge dragon throne, surrounded by endless faith power, looking mysterious and majestic. Below him stood a number of powerful figures. They were all experts that Faithling Xiao had subdued. At this moment, they looked at Faithling Xiao with fanatical worship and respect. 36 imperial emperors, 5,800 saint kings, million saint legions. This was the most powerful force under Faithling Xiao's command, assisting him to sweep across the ancient worlds, subduing countless creatures, and becoming Faithling Xiao's most loyal followers. Has the world barrier completely disappeared? Faithling Xiao's eyes flashed with a bright light as he said faintly, "Reporting to my lord, the world barrier has completely disappeared, and the heavens have begun to merge. The 981 worlds under our control have formed a new continent with the heavenly prison world. And this subordinate found that our territory is bordered by the demon race's territory." Burning Heaven Emperor cupped his hands and bowed to Faithling Xiao. From the former Burning Heaven Saint King to the current Burning Heaven Emperor, it was all thanks to Faithling Xiao, so he was full of fanatical worship for Faithling Xiao. The heavens have merged, and the immeasurable cataclysm has begun. From now on, our territory will no longer be a pure land. Everyone needs to be prepared. Faithling Xiao said slowly, "Don't worry, my lord. Hundreds of millions of creatures in the territory under our control believe in my lord. They are the most loyal followers of my lord. The main thing is that everyone is willing to die for my lord." A beautiful and tall female imperial emperor said respectfully to Faithling Xiao, "Very good. The immeasurable cataclysm is coming, but I have a compassionate heart. I don't want to see hundreds of millions of creatures suffer. Since we are bordered by the demon world, let's go to the demon world and save those demons who are entangled with the sin of murder." Faithling Xiao stood up from the throne. His voice sounded like thunder, majestic and mysterious, and at the same time full of compassion. "May the glory of my lord shine on the heavens." In the huge palace, 36 imperial emperors with unfathomable aura knelt down at the same time, showing a fanatical look of worship. With the order of Faithling Xiao, all the powerhouses in the heavenly prison world were dispatched. The majestic army marched toward the devil race's territory. Their whole body bloomed with bright light, surrounded by a vast and majestic power of faith. Their aura was incomparably powerful, like a torrent, leaving this peaceful place. Under the leadership of Faithling Xiao, they began to conquer the myriad worlds again. Faithling Xiao's whole body was dazzling with golden light, as if cast from divine gold, surrounded by endless faith light, exuding an immortal luster, majestic and mysterious. After seeing him, all the creatures would naturally have a sense of worship and awe. He was like a god, sitting cross-legged in the void, looking at all living beings with a compassionate gaze. No one knew how strong Faithling Xiao was. But in the eyes of the powerhouses under his command, Faithling Xiao was an invincible existence, comparable to the legendary Supreme Imperial Emperor. Ever since they started conquering the myriad worlds, not even those powerful emperors were a match for Faith's Ling Xiao. Over time, Faith Ling Xiao had planted the seed of invincibility in their hearts. So even if it was a punitive expedition to the demon world, they didn't have the slightest hesitation. Instead, they were full of anticipation and excitement. The mighty army killed their way into the demon world, making the entire demon world boil. As the former overlord of the myriad worlds, the demon world's strength made all the other races deeply afraid. Except for the immortal race, who had a profound foundation and had been in seclusion for a long time, no other race dared to be enemies with the demon race. After the myriad worlds began to merge, the demon race attacked everywhere, killing countless powerhouses and plundering a lot of resources. This was the first time someone dared to invade the demon world, which caught the demon world a little off guard. Many of the demon race began to suffer heavy casualties. The 10 sects of the demon world and many powerful monarch races of the demon world seemed to be angered by Faith Ling Xiao. They began to mobilize their army, preparing to fight Faith Ling Xiao. The myriad worlds surged like a storm, becoming incomparably chaotic and turbulent. The immeasurable calamity began, and many hidden powerhouses awakened, causing the war between the myriad races to become more and more tragic. At this moment, the eternal Emperor Road seemed to have been forgotten. In the realm of nothingness, the Azure Emperor used the heavenly Tao Lotus Seed to open the ancient world. No one expected it to have such a great impact on the myriad worlds. All the trial challengers and geniuses showed incomparable excitement as they rushed into the ancient world. The secret of transcendence is finally about to appear. It wasn't just Sakura and Tathagata. The 9th prince of the immortal race, Gutongtian, and the others' eyes were full of anticipation. They rushed into the void without hesitation. They knew many secrets of the eternal Emperor Road. Above the void, there was a vague and blurry world that hadn't been opened for 108 eras. At this moment, it opened. Everyone believed that the secret of transcendence lay in this ancient world. Who is the Azure Emperor? Ling Xiao watched as everyone rushed into the world in a frenzy. His eyes were filled with doubt. 3rd Sect Master. Chapter 3285. Ling Xiao was curious about the Lotus Emperor's identity. The Lotus Emperor had always been mysterious to Ling Xiao ever since the battle in the God's world. They were both friends and foes. Previously, the Lotus Emperor had killed Wuxia Wuxuang and given the origin Tao fruit in his body to Ling Xiao. Now he had taken out the heavenly Tao Lotus seed from the great Tao Lotus and opened an ancient world. Ling Xiao could not figure out the Lotus Emperor's true intention. Master, quickly enter the Dark Realm. Only by entering the Dark Realm can you obtain the secret of transcendence. I remember now. This is the Dark Realm. A realm that has never been opened in 108 eras. The evil spirit's voice suddenly rang in Ling Xiao's heart, full of excitement. What's the Dark Realm? Ling Xiao asked calmly. Seeing that everyone had entered the mysterious and ancient world, Ling Xiao wasn't in a hurry to enter. Master, the Dark Realm is actually a conjecture made by the Tai Celestial Emperor and ancestor god Azura. They guessed that there was yin and yang in the world, and so did everything else. Naturally, there would be yin and yang in this universe as well. Just like the yin-yang Tai Chi diagram, our world also has yin and yang. The yang world and the Dark Realm are yin. However, since the first era, the yang world and the Dark Realm have been separated, and no one has ever entered the Dark Realm. They guessed that the yang world and the Dark Realm were combined to form a complete great universe. Perhaps there are certain conditions to enter the Dark Realm. These conditions are the arrival of the immeasurable calamity, the heaven and earth will return to chaos, and the yang world and the Dark Realm will gradually merge. The secret of transcendence does not exist in the yang world. It must be in the Dark Realm. The evil spirit hurriedly explained. The world is also divided into yin and yang? If that's the case, isn't the Dark Realm no weaker than the myriad worlds? Does it have powerful beings? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He was shocked by what the evil spirit said. Since the Dark Realm is a world, it should have powerful beings. However, no one has entered the Dark Realm since ancient times. Naturally, no one knows what's in the Dark Realm. The evil spirit said. The Tai Celestial Emperor and ancestor god Azura had speculated based on various clues. They were not very sure. If they wanted to know what was in the Dark Realm, they had to enter it and explore it. If that's the case, I'd like to see what the Dark World is. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a sharp light. After pondering for a moment, he leaped into the air and entered the vast and ancient world. Rumble. In front of Ling Zhao's eyes, it was as if a mysterious scene of chaos had appeared. Yin and yang were changing, and turbidity was rising. He seemed to see two ancient continents. This continent was filled with boundless light and the aura of life. This continent was filled with boundless darkness, filled with destruction and death. The two continents intertwined with each other like the two sides of yin and yang. They looked like they were about to merge into one, but also like the two sides of a leaf. It was extremely strange. However, before Ling Xiao could take a closer look, the chaos before his eyes changed. Everything slowly dissipated, and he appeared in the ancient world. The world was dark, emitting a hazy blood-red light. Between heaven and earth, there was a kind of black mist. It looked strange and mysterious, and it made one's hair stand on end. It was as if one's life force would instantly dissipate when they came into contact with the black mist. The land was vast, and there were continuous mountains. It was no different from an ordinary world. However, the deep and strange light in the distance made one feel uncomfortable. Moreover, the heavenly energy seemed to be extremely weak here. Those trial takers who were comprehending the heavenly path origin felt that their strength had been greatly reduced. However, to Ling Xiao there was no change. He was a forsaken being, and was rejected by the heavenly path origin. When he entered the dark world, it was as if he was also rejected by the dark world origin. It made no difference to him. However, the dark world gave people a very uncomfortable feeling. It was as if a fish had left the sea, or a bird had left the sky. They had left the environment they were most familiar with, and they felt that danger was everywhere around them. A resplendent pillar of light descended from the sky like a rainbow bridge, extending into the distance. That was the heavenly path origin energy. Only in that light pillar could one receive the protection of the heavenly path origin energy. The bright light pillar seemed to span hundreds of millions of miles of void, extending to the farthest huge mountain. The strange mist. Is the dark world the source of the strangeness? Ling Zhao's body trembled. He suddenly remembered the strange mist he encountered when he broke through. Wasn't it the surging black mist in the distance? The black mist surged and surrounded the light pillar formed by the heavenly path origin energy. It was as if it wanted to enter the light pillar, but it instantly melted like snow upon contact. There seemed to be some kind of mysterious creature in the black mist. It let out a roar that made one's heart tremble, and it emitted a dangerous aura. After an eighth heaven imperial emperor entered the dark world, he curiously reached out to touch the black mist. However, a sharp and cold claw instantly stretched out from the black mist and grabbed his arm, pulling him into the black mist. Help! He let out an incomparably miserable scream, but the scream soon came to an abrupt stop. Crunch! Crunch! There seemed to be chewing sounds coming from the black mist, causing everyone's hair to stand on end. Their eyes were filled with incomparable fear. What is this place? Why is it so terrifying? What is the existence in the black mist? Someone exclaimed in a trembling voice. However, no one responded to him. All the trial challengers and geniuses had an extremely solemn expression on their faces. Everyone, don't enter the black mist. The creature in the black mist is too terrifying. Everyone, move in the direction of the light pillar. I guess the secret of transcendence is at the end of the light pillar. Someone guessed and reminded everyone. The secret of transcendence? These 4 words caused everyone to tremble involuntarily. Even their breathing became a little hurried. They seemed to have forgotten the danger around them. They instantly leaped up and rushed in the direction of the light pillar. Swoosh! 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 Everyone's speed was extremely fast. The words "the secret of transcendence" were enough to overcome the fear in their hearts. During this process, There were even trial challengers who had ill intentions. They directly launched a sneak attack and blasted the opposing trial challengers out of the light pillar. Then they were killed by the strange creature in the black mist. Those who were able to enter the dark realm were all 1 in a million geniuses. The battle between them was even more tragic. Although there were powerful geniuses who relied on their heaven-defying strength to repel the strange creature in the mist, there were even more geniuses who would instantly die in the hands of the strange creature as soon as they left the protection of the heavenly path's origin. Ling Xiao, who had entered the dark realm, encountered an extremely great danger. He was a forsaken one, and was rejected by the heavenly path's origin. He was unable to step into the light pillar formed by the heavenly path's origin. Therefore, when he entered the dark realm, he instantly appeared in the black mist. Boom! Ling Xiao felt that the black mist around him began to surge violently. It was as if it had encountered a prey and was extremely excited. An extremely cold aura rapidly approached Ling Xiao. Danger was approaching. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Without any hesitation, he directly threw out a punch. His incomparably ferocious physical strength erupted, and his entire person seemed to have transformed into a primordial giant beast. His unparalleled fist shattered the black mist, revealing the true appearance of the aura. It was a black ferocious beast that looked like a crocodile. Its entire body was covered in black scales. Its aura was cold and incomparably sharp. Its eyes were filled with a bloodthirsty and cruel look. Ling Xiao's fist print blasted towards its head. However, it directly opened its bloody mouth, wanting to swallow Ling Xiao into its stomach. Crack! The hard scales on the crocodile beast's head were shattered by Ling Xiao's punch. The surrounding void vibrated. Its head was also smashed into a pulp by Ling Xiao's punch, turning into a pile of minced meat. At the same time, Ling Xiao also felt a gush of dark energy that seemed to be trying to invade his body. It was extremely strange. Although Ling Xiao's physical body was perfect and flawless, blocking all the dark energy outside his body, he had a premonition that if the dark energy were to invade his body, it would be extremely troublesome. Rumble! The crocodile beast was killed by Ling Xiao. It was like poking a hornet's nest. The black mist around Ling Xiao surged even more violently. Many figures with strange and terrifying auras shot out from the black fog and headed straight for Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could even feel that even further away, there seemed to be an extremely terrifying existence that was alarmed. It made him feel a great threat. Could it be the great emperor of this world? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Without any hesitation, he followed the direction of the light pillar and flew towards the distance. His speed was extremely fast, like a bolt of lightning. Although he was moving in the black mist and attracted many strange creatures to attack him, there were very few strange creatures that could catch up with him. All the strange creatures that came in front of Ling Xiao were all killed by his supreme divine strength. However, behind Ling Xiao, there was a group of strange creatures that caused the black mist to boil. It was as if a huge wave had been set off as they chased after Ling Xiao crazily. That is Ling Xiao! Someone exclaimed, recognizing Ling Xiao's identity. That's right, it's Ling Xiao. Is he being chased by strange creatures? It seems like he is really a forsaken one. He can't step onto the light pillar, and is rejected by the origin of Heaven Way. It seems like he is going to die here. What the hell is this place? Why is it so dangerous? I don't know. Let's go. It's more important to fight for the secret of transcendence. Who cares if he dies? The challengers on the light pillar looked on coldly. Their eyes were filled with indifference. They only glanced at Ling Xiao and continued to rush towards the end of the light pillar. After the dark realm opened, not far away from the light pillar, four mysterious figures appeared. The secret of transcendence has appeared. Our mission is here. A cold voice sounded. It was a young man in a black robe. He looked handsome and demonic. His body emitted a monstrous demonic light. He sat cross-legged on a strange creature that looked like a black dragon. Countless mysterious lines seemed to intertwine in his eyes. If Zhao Ritian was here, he would be shocked to find that this young man in a black robe looked exactly like Buoxuan Wushuang. Buoxuan Wushuang, your previous incarnation was killed by Zhao Ritian, the Demon Lord, and the Lotus Emperor. Don't you want to take revenge on them personally? A young man shrouded in divine light smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with mockery. Your Highness, you are really stupid. Did you really think that my incarnation would be killed by them so easily? Buoxuan Wushuang smiled faintly. The figure shrouded in divine light was the celestial tribe's highness. No one would have thought that he would be here. If I'm not wrong, your incarnation was killed on purpose, right? Your real target is Ling Xiao, right? A young man shrouded in chaos said with a complicated expression. His aura was vast and mysterious. The Chaos Saint is indeed smart. However, I didn't expect that as a human and the successor of the Chaos Temple, you would be willing to become a Tribulation Master? Buoxuan Wushuang glanced at the young man. If I don't become a Tribulation Master, how would I know the greatness of Master? I know that relying on Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian, and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain won't be able to save the human race. If the human race wants to survive, they will only have a chance if they rely on Master. Therefore, even if I become a Tribulation Master, even if I am doomed eternally, I am willing to help the human race survive. The Chaos Saint said calmly. How noble! Chaos Saint, if you really end up facing Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, can you really do it? If you can't, I can do it for you. His Highness Crown Son's eyes were filled with mockery. I can do it too. At least Ling Xiao is my prey. No one can snatch him from me. Buoxuan Wushuang smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with cold and bloodthirsty killing intent. Enough! A cold voice sounded, carrying an inexplicable sense of majesty. Buoxuan Wushuang, His Highness Crown Prince, and the Primal Chaos Saint looked at the fourth figure with a hint of fear in their eyes. At the same time, they shut their mouths. The fourth figure was a little girl who looked like she was carved out of jade. She sat on a mysterious, ancient, and strange creature. She wore a large black robe. Although she seemed extremely cute, just like a porcelain doll, her eyes seemed to contain an endless hell. A single glance would cause people to sink into them for all eternity. She exuded an incomparably mysterious emperor's aura, making her seem strange and unfathomable. Our goal is the secret of transcendence. I know that all of you have various plans, but before we obtain the secret of transcendence, no one is allowed to ruin it. Otherwise, you know what will happen to you. The little girl in the black robe said faintly. Yes. Princess Luoluo. Buoxuan Wushuang, His Highness Crown Son, and the Chaos Saint looked at each other. After a moment of silence, they all cupped their fists and bowed. They knew better than anyone else how terrifying Princess Luoluo was and how noble her status was. Among the four of them, Luoluo was the leader. If the three of them were forced to become Tribulation Masters, and were controlled by someone else, then Luoluo was the true Tribulation Master. She was the real master of all the robbers and the spokesperson of those great beings. Chapter 3286. The pillar of light formed by the heavenly Tao was like a resplendent rainbow bridge. It traversed hundreds of millions of miles of void, and extended into the depths of the dark realm. Many trial takers stepped onto the rainbow bridge, and rushed towards the end. During this process, there was no lack of intense battles. All the trial takers who fell off the rainbow bridge, and were enveloped by the black fog died at the hands of the strange creatures. The screams and chewing sounds made one's hair stand on end. No one knew how many strange creatures there were in the black fog, and no one knew how powerful they were. However, their desire for the secret of transcendence still defeated the fear in their hearts. Ling Xiao was a forsaken person, and was rejected by the heavenly Tao. He was unable to step onto the rainbow bridge, so he could only move forward in the black fog. During this process, he was naturally surrounded and intercepted by those strange creatures. Those strange creatures were extremely powerful, comparable to Imperial Emperor experts. Moreover, that kind of dark power seemed to have a fatal lethality to the creatures of the myriad worlds. Ling Zhao's strength was heaven-defying. He was bathed in blood, but there were still many strange creatures that charged over fearlessly. Sensing the surging black fog behind him, as well as the countless strange creatures within, Ling Xiao felt his scalp go numb. What exactly is this dark realm? Ling Zhao's heart was filled with doubts. The mountains, earth, rivers, and lakes in the distance were all covered with a layer of gray color. They seemed to be filled with an endless aura of death, but also seemed to be supported by some mysterious law. It looked extremely strange. Although Ling Xiao was unable to step onto the rainbow bridge, he did not dare to go too far. He had a feeling that if he went deep into the dark realm, some unimaginable danger would appear. Fortunately, the end of the rainbow bridge soon appeared. It was an ancient mountain with a majestic aura. Its entire body was enveloped by the light of the heavenly Tao. The golden light was resplendent, illuminating the surroundings as if it was daytime. The black fog in the surroundings surged and swam in the surroundings, but it did not dare to approach the mountain. Ling Xiao could feel that there were many strange creatures in the black fog around the mountain. They let out terrifying roars that made one's scalp go numb. If one fell into the encirclement of those strange creatures, even a peerless immortal emperor would die instantly. Only by entering the mountain could they be considered safe. As Ling Xiao watched the cultivators step onto the light pillars and bridges, safely passing through the black fog and entering the mountains, a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He instantly executed a teleportation technique and soared into the sky. Rumble. The powerful aura of life and blood in the sky made the strange creatures in the black mist go berserk in an instant, as if they were fish that had smelled blood. Ling Xiao used the secret teleportation technique. His entire body was like a twisted bolt of lightning. His speed was extremely fast, and in an instant he pierced through the layers of black fog and headed for the top of the mountain. At the same time, the chaotic light around Ling Xiao gushed out. There seemed to be a storm around him that contained an incomparably terrifying explosive power. Those strange creatures that tried to stop him were all swept away by the chaotic storm around him. For a time, Ling Xiao's might was unparalleled, and there was actually no strange creature that stood in his way. Just as Ling Xiao was about to land on the Golden Mountain, Ling Xiao suddenly stopped. The Golden Mountain was shrouded and protected by the origin of the heavenly way. The black fog and strange creatures couldn't invade it. That was the true safe place. Rumble. But at this moment, an unparalleled fist print came crashing down on Ling Xiao from the sky. Sakura's face was extremely cold. He stood at the edge of the mountain, surrounded by a mysterious scene of chaotic life and death. He attacked Ling Xiao. Sakura. A cold glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He sped up and similarly threw a punch at Sakura. Gotcha. The two unparalleled fist prints collided in the void, and patches of strange black fog were annihilated. Sakura's attack contained the supreme Tao of chaos. Its power was extremely terrifying. Even though it didn't injure Ling Xiao, it still forced Ling Xiao to retreat. Rumble. Incomparably terrifying strange creatures were all like extinct primordial ferocious beasts. They emitted a ferocious aura and took the opportunity to pounce on Ling Xiao, enveloping him. The chaotic mist in the surroundings gathered once again, drowning everything in its wake. What? Is Ling Xiao going to die just like that? Some of the challengers looked at Sakura with incomparable reverence, revealing a shocked expression. Sakura's purpose was obviously not to kill Ling Xiao, but to prevent Ling Xiao from stepping on the Golden Mountain. His sinister intention was self-evident. As for those strange creatures that surrounded Ling Xiao, although they only caught a glimpse of them, their aura was terrifying and strange. They were extremely powerful, making many challengers feel their scalps tingle. They asked themselves, if they were to be surrounded by those strange creatures, they would probably die without a doubt. Those who are forsaken by the heavens should be killed. Sakura said indifferently. Sakura, you're courting death. At this moment, a loud roar that contained monstrous anger sounded, accompanied by an unparalleled fist print. It was as if there was chaos opening up. The mysterious scene of 3,000 worlds surrounding it made people's hearts tremble. Zhao Tian was wearing a golden armor. His aura was extremely violent. His eyes were filled with blood-red killing intent as he charged toward Sakura. He had just stepped on the Golden Mountain when he saw Sakura punch Ling Xiao into the black fog. His entire person exploded in an instant. That was Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, whom he regarded as his lifelong enemy. Ling Xiao, whom he regarded as his lifelong confidant. Zhao Tian was clearer than anyone about the horror of the strange creatures. Ling Xiao entering the black fog could be said to be a narrow escape. Sakura's despicable means instantly infuriated him. Get lost. Sakura sneered and slapped Zhao Tian with his palm. Sakura did not know Zhao Tian at all. In his view, except for Tathagata, Hong Tian, and a few others, the others were just a bunch of chickens and pottery dogs. They were not qualified to enter his eyes at all. Zhao Tian was the same. Even if Zhao Tian was the son of the Sky Emperor, the Sky Emperor was just a junior in Sakura's view. Boom. But his palm print was blasted apart by Zhao Tian's punch. Red gold flames rose around Zhao Tian's body. A 9-colored divine ring appeared behind him, making his aura even more terrifying, mysterious, and unfathomable. The Sky Emperor's fist did not diminish and collided with Sakura. It shook Sakura, and his arm was a little numb. Sakura's eyes revealed a trace of shock. In his view, Zhao Tian was just a 9th Heaven Imperial Emperor. He had not even condensed a Tao spirit. How could he unleash such powerful combat strength? You killed Ling Xiao. I'll make you pay with your life. Zhao Tian's hair stood on end as his blood and chi soared. He roared crazily and pounced towards Sakura. Rumble! The Sky Emperor's fist was unparalleled. Under Zhao Tian's desperate state, the Sky Emperor's fist seemed to erupt with unprecedented power. Every punch was like 3,000 worlds surrounding it. It contained the power of endless worlds. It was fierce, vast, and unstoppable. The collision with the Sky Emperor's fist shocked Sakura. He could not believe how Zhao Tian could unleash such powerful combat strength. Clang! The radiance of the Heavenly Tao Emperor sword was resplendent, and the origin of the Heavenly Tao in the surroundings seemed to be drawn by the Heavenly Tao Emperor sword. Divine chains of order were like the Milky Way, and they contained supreme power as they slashed down towards Sakura. The sword chi was like a dragon, destroying everything. At the same time, the Flame Emperor Cauldron soared into the sky like an immemorial sacred mountain. It spewed out endless Flame Emperor's fire, wanting to burn everything. Zhao Tian unleashed his strongest combat strength. He wielded the Heavenly Tao Emperor sword and the Flame Emperor Cauldron and charged towards Sakura. Mad Dog, get out of my way. Sakura was a little angry. He did not expect Zhao Tian to be so difficult to deal with. He did not want to fight with Zhao Tian at this moment. This golden mountain might be the place of transcendence. He still wanted to find the secret of transcendence. He did not have the time to fight with Zhao Tian. However, Zhao Tian seemed to have locked onto him. He would not stop until he killed him. He kept attacking Sakura's vital points. Ba! What a pity. Tathagata, who was far away, looked at the surging strange black fog. Ling Xiao did not appear again. He could not help but feel pity. He was prepared to form an alliance with Ling Xiao to deal with Hong Tian and Sakura. Now it seemed like the situation was getting more difficult. The 9th prince of the immortal tribe, Hong Tian, had already reached the Golden Mountain. He was strolling in the air, searching for the secret of the Golden Mountain. He was walking on the void, looking extraordinary. At least before the secret of transcendence appeared, no one dared to provoke him. Soon Dugu Qiubai, Ling Xiao Darkness, Old Goat, Daoist Wuliang and the others entered the Golden Mountain along the light beam bridge. When they heard that Ling Xiao was actually blasted into the black mist by Sakura, they were instantly enraged. Their eyes revealed monstrous killing intent as they madly rushed towards Sakura. Among them, Zhao Tian, Ling Xiao Darkness and Dugu Qiubai were the greatest threats to Sakura. Zhao Tian was the son of the Heavenly Emperor. Ling Xiao Darkness was from the Chaos Demon tribe. As for Dugu Qiubai, his sword skills had reached the pinnacle. When the 3 supreme experts unleashed their powerful killing moves, Sakura felt that it was extremely troublesome. Although there were many trial testers watching, no one dared to step forward and interfere in their battle. Old Goat, do you really believe that Ling Xiao is dead? Why aren't you sad at all? White Dragon Horse glanced at Old Goat and asked suspiciously. Of course Ling Xiao is not dead. So what if it's a strange living being? Sakura will be back to receive Ling Xiao's fury. Old Goat chuckled and transmitted his voice. He was not worried about Ling Xiao at all. Since you don't think Ling Xiao is dead, why are we still dealing with Sakura? Why don't we search for the secret of transcendence? Kuanping's eyes were also rolling around, looking like a thief. Ling Xiao may not be dead, but we have to help him vent his anger. If Sakura is not as strong as others and is killed by us, then so be it. If he is strong enough and we can't kill him, then we will leave his worthless life to Ling Xiao. Daoist Wuyang sneered and transmitted his voice. After consuming the Yang creation pill, their cultivation had all broken through to the 9th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm, and their strength had undergone a qualitative change. Daoist Wuyang was originally from the Dao clan. Although the Dao clan was once the servant of the Immortal clan, many of their Dao techniques were born from immortal techniques, and were even more powerful than immortal techniques. Daoist Wuyang's Dao technique was like an inescapable net, enveloping Sakura within it. Old Goat, on the other hand, had evolved a Supreme Emperor Array. Within the Emperor Array, the Supreme Emperor Aura was awakened, and an unparalleled killing force came down. Its power was terrifying to the extreme. As for White Dragon Horse and Kuanping, they were extremely cunning. They would sneak up on Sakura from time to time, but they were extremely slippery and had extreme speed, making it impossible for others to catch them. This made Sakura frustrated and furious. Under such a siege, Sakura actually fell into a disadvantage. These people are Ling Xiao's friends? Ling Xiao is a forsaken person, but there are actually so many people willing to avenge him. How enviable. Someone's eyes revealed a trace of envy. Sakura is really in big trouble this time. He has offended so many people. If the secret of transcendence really appears, I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to compete with Tathagata and Hong Tian. That might not be the case. Sakura is the 9 Ultimates King, a peerless genius who had reached the peak of 9 eras. No one knows what kind of trump card he has. The secret of transcendence. What exactly is the secret of transcendence? This golden mountain is enveloped by the heavenly Tao's origin. How exactly are we going to find the secret of transcendence? Everyone was discussing spiritedly, but what they valued the most was the secret of transcendence. This was a secret that was enough to make countless geniuses, and even great emperors, go crazy. Otherwise, why would so many geniuses choose to seal themselves for one lifetime after another, just to awaken in this lifetime and fight for the secret of transcendence? Transcendence was something that even great emperors yearned for. According to legends, it was an undying and indestructible realm that transcended the heavenly Tao and was free and unfettered. However, this golden mountain looked barren. Although it was emitting a dazzling golden light, there was nothing on it. Everyone quickly scanned the area, but they still didn't find anything. Rumble. Suddenly, everyone felt that the golden mountain under their feet began to tremble violently, and a dazzling golden light shot up into the sky. The golden light broke through the layers of black mist and gathered in the void. Like ancient runes, it twisted and intertwined, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. In the end, 2 ancient immemorial godly runes appeared in the sky. Transcendence. It was the word transcendence. At the same time, there was a vast and majestic saber intent rising from the word. At the same time, it was accompanied by a peerlessly powerful sword intent, causing everyone to be greatly shaken and feel their hearts palpitate. Is that the secret of transcendence? Everyone was trembling with excitement as they looked at the 2 ancient primordial divine words in the void. Their eyes were shining with passion. Chapter 3287. The 2 ancient words seemed to have been imprinted on a transparent scroll. It twisted slightly in the void, and emitted a mysterious light. At the same time, the 2 words intertwined with terrifying saber and sword will. It contained an aura of destruction that seemed to be able to destroy all life. At this moment, Ba Dao's forehead suddenly shone with a brilliant light. A black saber light soared into the sky and flew towards the 2 words. It's the forbidden saber? Someone exclaimed in surprise. Ba Dao cultivated the Avicii Infernal Demon's burial saber. It was a forbidden saber, a legendary saber technique left behind by a transcendent. Its power was unparalleled. No one had expected that the taboo blade would be drawn by the 2 ancient characters at this moment. Boom. Ba Dao was not the only one. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe also had a dazzling saber light fly out from his forehead. It was surrounded by endless immortal light, looking mysterious and ethereal as it flew into the two words. The fourth form of the forbidden saber, the Avicii infernal demon's burial saber, is in Hong Tian's hands? Someone stared at the ninth prince of the immortal tribe and asked. His eyes were filled with a blazing glow. Of the four forms of the forbidden saber, one was in the hands of Ba Dao, two were in the hands of Ling Xiao, and the fourth was extremely mysterious. It was a saber that severed one's origin. No one expected it to fall into Hong Tian's hands. Rumble. In the distance, Gu Tongtian's body suddenly emitted a dazzling light. A sword light rose, causing the void to tremble and the clouds to change. At the same time, Tathagata and Duga Qiubai's glabella burst with a powerful sword will. The sword will gushed out in a mighty manner, clashing with the taboo blade. It was not much weaker than the taboo blade. This is the legendary forbidden saber? Everyone was in an uproar. Their eyes were filled with shock. The forbidden saber was even more mysterious than the forbidden sword. Over the past few eras, every time the Eternal Emperor Road opened, someone would obtain the forbidden saber's legacy. However, the forbidden saber only existed in legends. It was said that only in the ancient era did someone obtain the forbidden saber. As for what the forbidden saber was, no one knew. Sword of heavenly Tao, sword of earth, sword of human Tao. The ninth prince of the immortal tribe, Hong Tian's eyes shone brightly as he muttered to himself. Gu Tongtian obtained the sword of the heavenly law. Tathagata obtained the sword of Taoism. Duga Qiubai obtained the human Tao sword. Although the three supreme sword techniques only existed in legends, they were not a secret to the immortals who had gone through 108 eras. Hong Tian also wanted to search for the inheritance of the taboo sword, but he didn't have any clues. The taboo sword was the same as the taboo blade. They were both left behind by a transcendent being, so they were faintly discernible and traceless. There were no clues that could be found, and only those who were fated could obtain them. Could it be that only those who have obtained the taboo blade and taboo sword are qualified to fight for the secret of transcendence? A trial taker asked, his eyes filled with unwillingness. If that was the case, then with so many trial takers here, they would have to return empty-handed. I don't think so. The taboo saber and taboo sword can reveal the secret of transcendence, but as for who can obtain the secret of transcendence, that will depend on our own methods. A powerful trial taker said confidently. His eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. Rumble. 2 taboo blades and 3 taboo swords. 5 dazzling rays of light soared into the sky and fused into the 2 ancient characters of transcendence. The 2 ancient characters shone brightly and trembled slightly. In an instant, they turned into a scroll that traversed hundreds of millions of miles in the void. It looked extremely mysterious. On the scroll, there seemed to be the roars of chaotic fiend gods, the conquering of supreme emperors, the living beings of all worlds, the scene of a chaotic world being created, and the evolution of the great Tao. The divine sound of the great Tao spread out from the scroll, and an extremely mysterious aura filled the world. Everyone couldn't help but feel energized. 5 dazzling pillars of light descended from the sky, enveloping Ba Dao, Hong Tian, Gu Tongtian, Duga Qiubai, and Tathagata. It was as if they were describing some kind of mystery. Oh no! We can't let them monopolize the secret of transcendence. Kill them. A trial taker's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He roared and charged toward Ba Dao and the others. At this moment, all the trial takers and sky prides began to go crazy. The secret of transcendence, the legendary secret of transcendence and immortality, was enough to drive all of them crazy. Naturally, they weren't willing to give up the secret of transcendence just like that. Rumble. Powerful attacks rained down like a storm, trying to kill Ba Dao and the others. Even Zhao Ritian, Sakura, and the others stopped their battle and rushed toward the scroll. On this mountain, a chaotic battle instantly broke out. At this moment, in the endless black mist, Ling Xiao was surrounded by creepy living beings with terrifying auras. They were fighting a bloody battle. Those creepy living beings were extremely powerful. Almost all of them who were able to come here and covet the secret of transcendence had a cultivation comparable to the Imperial Emperor realm. They were like primordial beasts that rampaged around, unleashing powerful killing techniques that constantly attacked Ling Xiao's vital points. Ling Xiao, who was originally furious and filled with murderous intent, had completely calmed down. The raging power of qi and blood around him slowly withdrew, and his aura became dark and strange. The wordless heavenly book flew out from between his eyebrows and kept devouring the creepy black mist around him. It turned into a dark energy that enveloped Ling Xiao. The strange creatures that were originally going to fight Ling Xiao to the death all had extremely confused looks in their eyes. It was as if Ling Xiao had become a little different at this moment. It was an aura that was similar to theirs, and they couldn't tell what kind of existence Ling Xiao was. When the dark energy on Ling Xiao's body became denser and denser, as if he had become one with the black mist, the creepy living beings around him stopped their battle at the same time. They glanced at Ling Xiao suspiciously and began to fly away. The wordless heavenly book can indeed devour the dark energy and disguise me as a creepy living being. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. There was a look of understanding in his eyes. The wordless heavenly book was a chaotic treasure. Ever since Ling Xiao obtained it, it had never disappointed him. After receiving the support of the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao could use the sky-devouring secret skill to devour everything. The dark energy of the dark world was naturally nothing to him. Ling Xiao was actually able to block Sakra's punch and shift to the top of the Golden Mountain. However, Ling Xiao chose to beat Sakra at his own game. He wanted to see if the person behind the scenes would appear in this battle for the secret of transcendence. That's right, it was the person behind the scenes. Ever since he entered the realm of nothingness and the dark world, Ling Xiao's feeling of being spied on grew stronger and stronger. In the beginning, he thought it was culpa Lord Buoxuan Wushuang. However, after Buoxuan Wushuang's death, he realized that the feeling of being spied on did not disappear. It was as if there was a pair of eyes hidden behind the scenes, watching everyone's every move. Ling Xiao simply chose to enter the black mist and fight with the creepy living beings. He wanted to avoid being spied on by the person behind the scenes. Moreover, the wordless heavenly book did not disappoint him. Not only could it devour the dark energy, but it could also disguise his aura and make him look exactly the same as those creepy living beings. Those creepy living beings seemed to be lacking in intelligence, as they could not tell the difference between Ling Xiao and their own kind. If there is really a person behind the scenes, he must be after the secret of transcendence. Will the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book appear? Ling Xiao thought to himself as a bright light flashed in his eyes. The weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book had always been the biggest shadow in his heart. However, if the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book was really as evil and powerful as the evil spirit had said, it would definitely appear before Ling Xiao attained Dao and became an emperor. It was also doubtful that the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book would appear to fight for the secret of transcendence. Ling Xiao was extremely cautious. The closer he was to the great emperor realm, the more reverent he felt. The strength of a great emperor was beyond everyone's imagination. On the other hand, the path that Ling Xiao took to unify all Daos into one was filled with difficulties and obstacles. Buzz. A mysterious light bloomed in Ling Xiao's eyes. It looked majestic, mysterious and ancient, as if it could see through everything. The eye of the ruler was activated by Ling Xiao. Everything on the Golden Mountain fell into Ling Xiao's eyes. The secret of transcendence has appeared? Great! This way, the person behind the scenes can't wait any longer, right? Ling Xiao muttered to himself. His expression was extremely calm, as if he was not moved by the appearance of the secret of transcendence. On the Golden Mountain, the battle between the trial challengers was extremely intense. The trial challengers were constantly being killed, and their blood splattered across the sky as they died. For the secret of transcendence, everyone had gone completely crazy. The smell of blood that permeated the Golden Mountain caused the surrounding black fog to surge even more violently. Those strange life forms also emitted earth-shaking roars of anger. The black mist seemed like it would explode at any time and completely engulf the Golden Mountain. Rumble. Suddenly, four incomparably powerful auras appeared silently in the void. They were Princess Luoluo, His Highness Great-Grandson, Buoxuan Wushuang, and the Chaos Saint. The secret of transcendence has appeared. I'll go and retrieve it. I'll leave them to you. Luoluo said indifferently. Her gaze landed on the ancient and huge scroll. Her expression was indifferent and deep. She did not even glance at the people below, as if she did not care about them at all. Yes, Princess Luoluo. His Highness great-grandson, Buoshuan Wushuang, and the Chaos Saint all bowed. The appearance of these four people immediately caused the expressions of many trial challengers to change. Luoluo, in particular, stepped into the sky as if there was no one around her. Step by step, she walked toward the Transcendence Scroll. How dare you? Stop them. How dare you try to pick a fight at this time? You're courting death. The trial challengers were furious and attacked one after another. It's you? The ninth prince of the immortals' eyes revealed a hint of surprise as he glanced at the crown prince. It's me. Long time no see, royal uncle. His Highness great-grandson smiled indifferently. However, his smile was very cold and filled with a trace of killing intent. You've become a robber? What a disappointment. Ninth Prince Hong Tian said indifferently. He, the winner takes all. So what if I'm a robber? You don't know what this place is. Royal uncle, are you going to leave by yourself? Or do you want me to kill you? His Highness great-grandson licked his lips. His eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. Kill me? That's right. You've never dared to say such things to me before. I'm curious where your confidence comes from. Ninth Prince Hong Tian said with a smile. Is that so? You'll find out soon enough. His Highness great-grandson's eyes became indifferent again. He exuded a lofty attitude. The secret of transcendence isn't something you can get your hands on. I'll give you a piece of advice. Leave now and you can live. Otherwise you'll all die. His Highness great-grandson said coldly. Arrogant. You're courting death. Everyone was instantly enraged. Each and every one of them was raring to go, wanting to attack. Buoshuan Wushuang and the primal chaos saint stood beside him. The aura of the three of them was unfathomable. It was like a huge wall, blocking all the challengers in front of them. Buoshuan Wushuang, you're still alive? Zhao Ritian and Darkness Lingxiao were shocked. They recognized Buoshuan Wushuang. And you, Qin Wuji, you've also become a robber? What a disappointment. Zhao Ritian stared at the primal chaos saint and said. His eyes were filled with disappointment. The primal chaos saint could also be called the limitless saint. His real name was Qin Wuji, and he was the successor of the primal chaos temple. Zhao Ritian had not expected him to enter the eternal emperor's road and become a robber. Brother Ritian, you don't understand. His Highness great-grandson is right. You should leave quickly. You might be able to keep your lives. Otherwise, I won't be able to save you later. The primal chaos saint shook his head. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. How foolish. His Highness great-grandson sneered. He looked at them as if they were ants. Rumble. He waved his sleeves and suddenly, as if covering the sky and the sun, a vast and mighty force pressed down, shattering the attacks of the many trial challengers. A few of the weaker trial takers actually trembled violently and exploded into a bloody mist in the void. Since you want to die, stay here. His Highness great-grandson said indifferently. His words were like thunder, causing the void to rumble. Rumble. An incomparably mysterious and terrifying aura burst out. It was vast and mighty. In an instant, it covered the heavenly energy above the golden mountain. The surrounding black mist surged like a ferocious tiger out of its cage. Without the restraint of the heavenly energy, it rushed towards the golden mountain in a frenzy. The strange creatures appeared one by one, exuding a terrifying murderous aura as they pounced on the trial takers. What? Not good. Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. They had never imagined that these four mysterious robbers would be able to destroy the protective barrier formed by the heavenly Tao's origin. That's insane. That's insane. Those strange creatures are extremely powerful. Aren't they afraid of dying here? However, the trial challengers soon realized that the strange creatures were not attacking His Highness great-grandson and the others. Instead, they were charging towards them. A bloody massacre broke out in an instant. Chapter 3288. Rumble. The black mist surged and covered the golden mountain completely. Without the barrier formed by the heavenly way, the strange creatures were like cats that had seen a fish. They began a bloody pursuit of the trial challengers. The trial challengers who could enter the dark world were all peerless geniuses. Their strength was unfathomable. If they fought alone, they wouldn't necessarily be weaker than the strange creatures. However, the number of strange creatures was too terrifying. Usually, there would be dozens or even hundreds of strange creatures chasing after a trial challenger. Even though the trial challenger's strength was terrifying, they still died in the hands of the strange creatures. Before they died, they let out angry roars of unwillingness and despair. In this chaotic situation, Princess Luo Luo quickly approached the transcendent scroll and reached out to grab it. Seeing this scene, everyone's eyes widened. That was the secret of transcendence. It contained the greatest secret of transcendence in all the worlds for 108 eras. Was it going to fall into the hands of the robbers? At this moment, even Sakura and Tathagata started to become furious. Rumble. However, just as Princess Luo Luo's hand touched the transcendent scroll, it instantly emitted a bright light. Endless light spewed out. It contained a mysterious, ancient, and majestic fluctuation. A strong repulsive force came from the transcendent scroll and pushed Princess Luo Luo away. Whoosh. The transcendent scroll trembled slightly and released a bright light. It was as if it was going to turn into a stream of light and escape. Want to leave? Stay here. Princess Luo Luo's eyes flashed sharply. In an instant, she slammed her palm down. Rumble. A mysterious light bloomed from her palm. The light of reincarnation spread out like a devouring vortex. It was as if it was going to pull everything into reincarnation. At this moment, the transcendent scroll couldn't help but tremble slightly as it struggled to fly toward her. It's Luo Luo. Ling Xiao, who was hidden in the black mist, trembled. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. Luo Luo actually appeared here. It's the aura of the robbers. Wuxia and Wuxia really didn't die. Those two are the Crown Prince and the Wuji Saint. You didn't expect them to all be robbers? Ling Zhao's eyes burned as he thought to himself. It turned out that the four of them were the ones hiding behind the scenes. However, Ling Xiao faintly felt that something was wrong. The four robbers, Luo Luo, Wuxia and Wuxia, His Highness great-grandson and the Wuji Saint, chose to fight for the secret of transcendence at this time. It was as if there was an invisible hand behind them that was controlling their every move. The person behind the scenes might be even more terrifying than Ling Xiao had imagined. Ling Xiao didn't have much time to think, because Luo Luo was about to grab the transcendent scroll. Boom! Ling Xiao's entire being was like a brilliant pillar of light that connected the heavens and the earth. In an instant, he shot up from the black fog at an extremely fast speed. He soared through the air and grabbed at the transcendent scroll. It's Ling Xiao. Zhao Ritian shuddered all of a sudden. His eyes were sharp and his hands were agile. He immediately realized that it was Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with excitement. Sure enough, good people don't live long, but scourges live for 1,000 years. This bastard Ling Xiao is indeed not a short-lived person. He made me worry for nothing. Boom. Luo Luo seemed to have noticed Ling Xiao as well. Her eyes were incomparably cold as she threw a palm strike at Ling Xiao. Vast and mighty emperor's aura erupted. This palm strike was like a great emperor suppressing the heavens. It contained an unparalleled divine aura. Luo Luo attacked Ling Xiao without hesitation as if she didn't know him at all. Great emperor. No, she only possesses the combat strength of a great emperor to a certain extent. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He also threw a punch at Luo Luo without hesitation. Crack. The unparalleled chaotic fist print was extremely ferocious and domineering. It was as if it was going to split the heavens and earth apart. It flew across the air and collided with Luo Luo. The illusory image of the three realms appeared behind Ling Xiao, causing his aura to become extremely terrifying in an instant. Luo Luo's palm strike was shattered by his punch. An extremely powerful force erupted. Ling Xiao had actually forced Luo Luo back with a punch. Buzz. At the same time, the transcendent scroll fell into Ling Xiao's palm. The transcendent scroll shone brightly. It struggled violently as if it wanted to break free from Ling Xiao's control. However, it was tightly held in Ling Xiao's hand. It couldn't break free at all. Luoluo, long time no see. Ling Xiao held the super scroll and smiled indifferently at Luoluo. Ling Xiao, hand over the transcendent scroll. Luoluo said indifferently. She looked at Ling Xiao as if she was looking at a stranger. There wasn't the slightest fluctuation in her emotions. It seems like you really don't recognize me. I'm very curious. Where did you come from? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Hand over the transcendent scroll or die. Luoluo said coldly. There was a trace of murderous intent in her eyes. Rumble. At the same time, the ninth prince Hong Tian, Gutong Tian, Tathagata, and Sakura released an incomparably terrifying aura from their bodies. They locked onto Ling Xiao. They had crossed the heavens and killed many strange creatures. Finally, they broke free from the encirclement and wanted to fight for the secret of transcendence. Ling Xiao, how about we join forces and kill these robbers first? You should know that we are the same kind of people. We can comprehend the secret of transcendence together. The ninth prince Hong Tian smiled indifferently at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, don't listen to him. You and I are both of the God clan. We should join forces and kill all of them. Gutong Tian said coldly. The sword aura around him rose as if it could destroy everything. Ling Xiao, hand over the transcendent scroll. You're just a forsaken person. You want to comprehend the secret of transcendence? You don't know the meaning of death. Sakura sneered. Tathagata said the name of Buddha softly. Although he didn't say much, there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. He gave Ling Xiao a meaningful look. Without exception, they all wanted to rope Ling Xiao in and obtain the transcendent scroll. Ling Xiao could even feel that the strange creatures around him also wanted the transcendent scroll. It was as if the transcendent scroll was a fatal temptation to them. Cut the crap. The transcendent scroll is in my hands. If you want the transcendent scroll, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. In an instant, his eyes revealed a soaring desire to fight. Rumble. Qi and blood rose around him. His body was indestructible. He was like an indomitable chaotic divine demon that supported the celestial emperor. Bright stars lit up behind him. His entire body exuded a vast heavenly might that was similar to the heavenly way's origin. His aura soared to the extreme. He released his aura without holding back. The surrounding black mist distorted as if it didn't dare to come close to him. You are indeed the chosen successor of the textless heavenly book. However, if you don't hand over the transcendent scroll, even the textless heavenly book can't save you. Luoluo said indifferently. In an instant, monstrous murderous intent exploded from her eyes. Rumble. It was like an incomparably terrifying sea of blood. It was also like the Azura hell that was filled with death and slaughter. An incomparably terrifying spiritual storm rushed toward Ling Xiao. Luoluo's petite body contained a power that could destroy the heavens and the earth. She stepped into the void like an emperor descending upon the mortal world. Vast and mighty emperor's aura erupted and suppressed Ling Xiao. Kill. Ling Xiao roared. His eyes were filled with a soaring desire to fight as he charged toward Luoluo. The transcendent scroll in his hand was dazzling. It was mysterious and profound. However, it couldn't be opened. Only by absorbing the blood and life of an ultimate expert could the transcendent scroll be opened. In other words, the secret of transcendence was destined to fall into the hands of the ultimate expert. Therefore, after Luoluo and Ling Xiao touched the transcendent scroll, they immediately understood. Only by devouring the lives of countless trial takers could the secret of transcendence be opened. Rumble. Ling Xiao and Luoluo's fists collided. It was like a hurricane that swept across the heavens and the earth. In an instant, it swept out in all directions. Several strange creatures that wanted to get close to them were destroyed and instantly exploded into a bloody mist. Both of them trembled and retreated at the same time. Ling Xiao, hand over the transcendent scroll. Sakura roared angrily. Murderous intent boiled in his eyes. Chaotic divine light bloomed in his palm and turned into an ancient heavenly halberd that slashed toward Ling Xiao. His body was dazzling. His divine might was unparalleled. With the heavenly halberd in his hand, he looked like a chaotic divine demon that wanted to split the heavens and the earth. His power was terrifying to the extreme. Ling Xiao, if you don't hand over the Transcendent Scroll, you'll be everyone's enemy. The ninth Prince Hong Tian said indifferently. He also charged toward Ling Xiao. Dazzling immortal light bloomed around him. Beams of light were like the Milky Way that flowed backward, wrapping around Ling Xiao's body. His attack appeared to be rather relaxed, but the frightening killing intent contained within it caused everyone's scalp to turn numb. Tathagata and Gu Tongtian both began to charge toward Ling Xiao. In an instant, Ling Xiao seemed to have become everyone's enemy. When everyone saw the Transcendent Scroll in his hand, they seemed to have gone completely crazy and charged toward him. In addition to the many trial challengers, Wuxia and Wuxia, His Highness great-grandson, and the chaotic saint also looked indifferent. They gave up on fighting with their opponents and charged toward Ling Xiao. The black mist boiled, and those strange creatures revealed their true forms. They were all strangely shaped primitive ferocious beasts. Each of them had heaven-defying strength. They spat out dark light beams and charged toward Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao became everyone's target. Wuxia and Wuxia, your opponent is me. Dark Ling Xiao sneered and threw out a punch towards Wuxia and Wuxia. Chaotic demonic light rose around him. The ancient gauntlet on his hand bloomed with peerless murderous intent, and locked onto Wuxia and Wuxia. Infinite demonic armor? Hand it over. Wuxia and Wuxia's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He also had a gauntlet on his hand, which seemed to be of the same origin as Dark Ling Xiao. He immediately gave up on Ling Xiao and turned to attack Dark Ling Xiao. To him, the infinite demonic armor was more valuable than the Transcendent Scroll. He seemed to have sensed the same kind of aura from Dark Ling Xiao. This made his murderous intent boil. Ling Xiao, I'm here to help you. Zhao Ritian roared. Golden light blazed around him as the Heavenly Emperor's fist swept across the surroundings. It was as if he had been reborn. His aura was extremely terrifying. Whoosh! Sword chi rose around Duguqiubai. Rays of sword light broke through the universe and charged toward the many powerful trial challengers. Ji Feishuan, Ba Dao, Old Goat, Daoist Wuliang, Yap Liangchen, White Dragon Horse Kuanping, and the others also charged toward Ling Xiao. Although they were not weak, they were still too weak compared to the Sakra, the trial challengers, and the strange creatures. Other than Dark Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian, Duguqiubai, and Ji Feishuan, who were stronger and were able to stop the chaotic saint, His Highness great-grandson, and the others, they were soon drowned by the strange creatures. Ling Xiao was still the enemy of the entire world. Looking around, the figures with terrifying auras were all peerless geniuses. They were all invincible sky prides who had fought their way out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. If you want the secret of transcendence, you'll have to exchange it with your life. Ling Xiao roared. His murderous intent boiled around him. His aura was extremely terrifying. His fist was like a dragon. The auras of the epic in creation seemed to have merged together to form an extremely powerful fist print. It pressed down on the Sakra with great force. At this moment, Ling Xiao's aura was like an erupting volcano. It skyrocketed countless times in an instant. The wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness, the good fortune jade disc in his heart, and even the primordial pearl in his Dantian sea of qi all shone with boundless light at this moment. They were all connected to each other, providing Ling Xiao with limitless energy. Boom! Sakra's primal chaos fist imprint shattered with a loud bang. His entire body shook violently, and his arm completely lost all feeling as Ling Xiao's fist landed on his chest. Puff! Di Shirtian suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his entire person flew out. What? How could your strength become so strong? The Sakra's eyes were filled with disbelief and horror. When he fought with Ling Xiao previously, Ling Xiao wasn't so terrifying. Now he couldn't even take a punch from Ling Xiao? He was extremely shocked. However, he didn't notice that the blood he spat out was silently absorbed by the Transcendence Scroll. Rumble. Ling Xiao's face was majestic. The lightning around him was dazzling. He seemed to be too lazy to answer the Sakra's question. He pulled his palms together, and the blazing lightning condensed into a purple sword chi. It swept across hundreds of millions of miles and swept across. A few powerful strange creatures were annihilated by the sword qi and turned into ashes. Swoosh! Ling Xiao stepped on the void. His black hair fluttered in the air. Wrapped in a monstrous momentum, he pointed a finger. The finger light was dazzling as if it was real. In an instant, it collided with Tathagata's huge palm print. The endless Buddha's light was shattered. The immortal Buddha's golden body that enveloped Tathagata was shattered. Tathagata was also shocked. He coughed up blood and retreated. Borrowing the power of a chaotic treasure isn't your own strength. Moreover, the karma is too deep. Be careful that you don't die without a burial place. The ninth Prince Hong Tian's indifferent voice sounded. He took a step forward and appeared in front of Ling Xiao. He lightly slapped at Ling Xiao with his palm and grabbed the transcendent scroll with his other hand. Is that so? You borrowed the power of the longevity tower. Is that also your own strength? Hong Tian, since you've embarked on the path of unification, why do you need to use the power of the longevity tower to hide your aura? What's the difference between you and a whore who pretends to be a chastity? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and threw a punch at Hong Tian without hesitation. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.